here we are. Good morning, guys. How are you? Thank you, everyone that is here, and good morning. I've been chatting with some of you before the stream, so thank you for being here. Christine, thank you before becoming a member this morning. I appreciate it. And Christine, Ty said he will message you and let you know. So I'll leave it at that. We have a lot to do, so I'm just gonna get into it. I'm just gonna let
Yeah.
you
All right, hold
go
on.
because I can tell you I read that motion and I had to read it in a whiny voice because that's the in my mind, like just is he crying about it?
There we go.
Everything. It just is ridiculous. And I do have it. I can pull it up if you want me to. Um,
Wow. I don't know. I'm getting quite an echo here.
okay. I don't have one. You probably know this person, Wayne.
Let me see. Make sure, man, everything on here is, man, set right.
Thank you, Gabby.
Yeah. Okay. This one you can shut this one out. All right. I think we're good.
We're good.
I definitely have a delay in my voice, though.
That's weird.
Yeah. See, I could always do like the whole, old school kung fu movies.
I
Um,
wonder. Huh. Well, I am no IT person. I'm as bad with IT and tech as lawyers are. So I
you're
that
actually being delayed too. I'm getting your stuff
so
delayed too.
weird.
That's funny. Hold on. Actually, here, this might help. Okay, so hold on. Because I've
Hey,
got,
Gigi.
you know what it is? I got it. I got it. I know what it is. I have
Okay.
YouTube up and I have StreamYard up at the same time. So,
Yep. Go to be. I think on Streamyard. I think you'll want to be on Streamyard because YouTube is delayed.
da da, right?
I'm good. You haven't been delayed for me at all.
Okay. We're good.
I I think
All
so.
right. I guess so. I mean, I think that's what it was. I was just catching the echo, man, coming back from YouTube,
Yeah, sure.
but no,
George
because I
said
had you, I left it open after last night. I went on there and I made a comment in the chat for a second, just to let you know, man, I'm gonna be here. I'll
yeah, I
be
saw
on time. You know.
it. George said, "Give the hamster on the internet
Yeah, I
rule
know. I saw
another
that. That's
carrot."
pretty funny.
Yeah, well, I probably couldn't find the hamster and to give him a carrot. I'm just so
I don't know,
bad.
man.
All right, let's take us into
Okay.
everything that's going on.
Well, okay. So we got lots of stuff going on. Obviously the prosecutor is not real happy. This is a guy that you guys, most of y'all, he's behind the scenes, right? Because he's the actual state attorney, right? Everybody you guys see, man, they're all assistant state attorneys, right? They work under him, but he has been the state attorney since the very beginning. He's the one that sought the indictment. He's the one that sought the information. Basically, tried to prosecute it from the beginning. Now, don't get me wrong, the original ASA is the one that brought it to him, and that would be a woman by the name of Colleen Dunn. I'm sure you've heard that name a few times. And just got confirmation that, man, he has rehired her after
Oh,
being suspended by the bar twice.
nice. Nice.
Yeah. And not only that, she should have lost her license permanently. That the only reason she didn't, and we actually, again, since he wants to get into this all unsubstantiated kind of crap is what he's trying to say. But no, the only reason, and we have a letter from the bar to prove that one, that she survived that is because the judge is the one who got her off the hook. Because the comments that he made that were highly inappropriate in his order dismissing the order to was it the order denying the motion to dismiss, the last one that the attorneys filed. Yeah, he put in some seriously was it prejudicial type comments in there, which is one of the reasons I went pro se to begin with. It's because, okay, at the time, he goes ahead and he puts in, at the time we were thinking, okay, we were thinking as far as the attorneys and myself and pretty much everybody was thinking that he was going to go ahead and he was going to dismiss the case, but he was going to do so without prejudice, leave the state, the opportunity to go ahead and, refile the charges and do it correctly. Right. Which, don't get me wrong, would be kind of difficult for them. But at the same time, that's what we thought was going to happen. What he did, though, is instead of doing that, he goes ahead and flat out dismisses it, right? I mean, not dismisses it, denies it, right? Which, don't get me wrong, according to state law, and this, you probably heard this in my JOA when I was, when I went at him the first time, and I was telling him, I'm like, according to the Constitution of the state of Florida, this case should have been dismissed, right? Because, okay, it doesn't say that it's an option for the judge. It says if there has been due process violations in this, and committed by, the government officials, which would be the state or even the police, because they can actually do due process violations too, and they did. But that it shall be dismissed. And one of the cool things about Florida, not that there's many as far as the law goes, but one of the cool things is that in Florida, the law is taken literally. So if it's written that way, then that is the way you're supposed to take it. So if it says must, if it says shall, if it says any of that stuff, then no, that's what happens, right? But it didn't happen in my case, right? Now, don't get me wrong, he also didn't leave any chance for appealing it, because what he did after that is he went ahead and did that special set, made it so that the trial was going to be on the 8th of, January, no matter what. Right. So, there was no time for an appeal. There's no time, to do anything about it. He also knew those comments were going to go out to the press and that we had a gag order at the time and that we weren't going to be able to respond to him in the press because the press picked him up out of the clerk's office, and went ahead and published them, which basically talks about tainting the jury pool. Oh, no, those comments did a real good job of tainting the jury pool. Which is why, my lawyers and I, the only disagreements, we had about the thing is, because, I saw that as no, there's no way, we have to respond to this. Whether, again, how we do it, that's a whole different thing, but we have to, we don't have a choice because, okay, he goes in there and basically what he says is that the prosecution has acted ethically the entire case. The courts acted ethically during the entire case. This is nothing more than personal attacks and conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And that's why you heard me going at him during the JOA. And I was like, we had 3 officers who all admitted under oath to setting me up with a jailhouse snitch, right? That violated 4 of my constitutional rights right there, including the right to due process, which means I shouldn't be here risking my behind on these 12 people, Right. And, so, I mean, and, he gets, he was like a deer in headlights for a second at one point. And he was like, well, nobody made me aware. I
find that
I
hard
was
to
like,
believe.
2 years worth of motions to get rid of that guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you weren't made aware,
Right.
you've got to be kidding me. Right. Now, don't get me wrong. That is the one thing that I see that may be a problem with the new judge. Right. And, shall is absolute. Thank you, George. I'm about that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's exact. It makes the law a lot easier when, yes, if it says shall, then that's what's going to happen. But anyway, so the thing is, what might make this problematic is okay, the judge. As far as not this judge, the judge we have, could have a problem with the fact that, yes, I am accusing the previous judge of numerous acts of misconduct. And this would be before trial. This would be during trial. This would be during the entire span of the case. I mean, I knew back in 2019 when I wrote that letter, which I came across some videos that I hadn't seen, a guy named Big Mike, I guess, Big Case Mike or something like that, who apparently, man, did quite a bit of analysis on TV, about me. And And well, that was one of his favorites is that letter. He said that letter destroyed my credibility and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, you're from Detroit, homie. You know what I'm saying? You're telling me you haven't heard of corruption. It
Right.
hasn't
Right.
actually hit you yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So anyway, no, and one of the things that actually Ward brought up in that gag order, right, is me discussing. And one of the funny things too is when I was doing the response, I'm like, he brings up what is it? Witness tampering, perjury, and prosecutorial misconduct. And as I'm writing a response, I'm like, well, if that's all he heard, then obviously he hasn't been listening closely enough. Because no, I've made a hell of a lot more allegations than that. But the witness tampering one is what actually confirmed for me that the judge was dirty. That was, man, way back in 2019, and I wrote that letter. And the thing is okay. Here's the part Big Mike failed to actually use his brain for, especially being a lawyer, right? Okay, when I wrote that letter, and you guys, I think a lot of you've only seen the last page. If you looked at Law and Crime, they only have the last page posted, right? That's it. They don't have
Yep.
the full letter. The full letter, yeah, you probably think I was insane writing this to a judge. There's no doubt about it. And that last page makes it even worse in some ways, right? However, you got to understand the circumstances at the time, right? At the time, Colleen Dunn was still a prosecutor, right? Still prosecutor. We had gone to a hearing. I think it was August 3rd, if I had to take a guess off the top of my head. August 3rd of 2019, right? Anyway, we go to this hearing, and they had kept Anthea Clay from us for 2 years, right? 2 years. This is the woman who supposedly set the crime up. There's a lot of evidence saying she did. Matter of fact, actually, when I was doing the motion to dismiss and going over everything, when you look at Anthea Clay, she actually had arguably as much evidence against her, if not more, than Roy Wilson. You know what I'm saying? Yet she was never picked up, except for, it's coming up here as I tell the story. But no, the night of the crime, she was allowed to leave, even though that was the first person Paula names as she comes out of the treehouse. I'm sure some of you have seen the video where she's holding her neck, and she's screaming out that April did this. Anthea did this, right? And she had good reason to believe that. There's some things about that came about, but one of them is Paula actually had her had gone to Matt and had her evicted. Her and Todd Quinn actually. Todd Quinn actually signed off on that, but had her evicted out of the treehouse, right? But so the hype was that it was payback. Anthea was doing it as payback for Paula getting her evicted, right? Now, the thing is she had good reason to believe it because, according to Paula, she had tried to set up the exact same crime with two other people, right? That, she tried to set up this crime with Crystal Dinklocker and a chick named Melissa Damas, right? And tried to set up the same crime. And the cops never go talk to either one of them. That never happens. But Crystal Dinklocker, unfortunately, ends up dead about a month after I go to jail, which is a whole nother story and a whole nother angle on the whole thing. But if you notice the same video, Night of the Crime, so they contact Anthea, which, man, okay, again, you kind of got to wonder why they have her phone number to begin with.
Right.
But that becomes a little more apparent later. But anyway, so they bring her down to the crime scene, and they're letting her wander around just kind of unattended, right, at the crime scene, right? And this is a woman who has been named as a suspect, right? Now, if you look at the case and you look at all the videos in the case, right, every single person who is either a witness or a suspect or anything in this case, yeah, they're done. There's a video interview done with them, right, where they sit them down in front of a camera and they actually ask them questions. And it doesn't matter whether it's Todd Quinn, it doesn't matter whether it's Roosevelt Washington or Belinda Corrales, or except for Belinda, we never did get a video for Belinda. Apparently, and their body cam or whatever didn't work on that one. Who
It's
knows?
convenient always, isn't
Yeah,
it?
we know we get a lot of that. You know what I mean? The three different tapes that disappeared from Tom Thumb.
Yep.
So um, you know, but yeah, thing is so anyway, so they bring her over and they don't do a video interview with her. And this is like right after the crime. And man, she's, literally right down, down a couple, I think it's a couple houses down, man, from where the crime took place. Right. And so they bring her over and they don't do a video interview with her. There's like literally like a minute and 43 seconds or something that Fernandez, man, has of her on video. And it's just signing a statement that she makes. Right. She just makes a written statement and then they let her go. Right. Well, okay, so they let her go, and then after that, okay, the next day, and we don't find this out till 2 years later. We find this out 2 years later after the fact, from Paula. When she does her deposition, that Anathea was allowed on the crime scene the next day, right, unattended, and left a huge epitaph up on the wall where she literally, it's a pseudo confession, poem, whatever. But it's like I had double murder on my mind, and she's cussing Matt out, that he got killed, and I warned you, this, that kind of stuff. And but the cops never took pictures of it, never, man, never put it into evidence. We didn't know about it. By the time we get to it, some of it had been painted over.
Which is so weird. How did that happen? Because I've heard you talk about
Well, and here's
that.
here, that goes into a very deep subject in the whole thing, right? And this is why, man, okay, the crime itself, it seems very simple and really on the surface, it really does. It's just like a couple guys going to rob a local dealer, right? That's the story, right? And
Right.
that unfortunately it happens a lot, you know what I mean?
Right.
In this country, it happens a lot. But that's the thing is, then you add in Anathea, right? And Anathea was identified by the same CI that identified Rory Wilson, right? Same one, right? Said that Anathea set it up. It was payback against Paula, and that she hired, not hired, but got Rory Wilson and a white guy that he didn't know, right, to go ahead and do the crime, right? Which that comes back to something later too. Something I actually just figured out recently, and I should have figured out a long time ago. But anyway, so Anathea, she has that witness against her. She also has Todd against her. She also has, obviously, she has Paula against her right off the rip. That's 3 witnesses, man, identifying her as somebody who possibly did this, right? Then she goes ahead and writes the little epitaph on the wall, right? And as she's coming out of the house, threatens Paula in front of Detective Pitcher, the lead detective. Still not arrested. Still not, man, brought in for interrogation. None of that, right? Allowed to go, right? The story we get for the next 2 years is we can't find her. We don't know where she is because we want to talk to her, right? I mean, obviously, she could be exculpatory to me.
Right.
If she doesn't know who I am, which, again, when we do talk to her, she doesn't. But if she doesn't know who I am, and, man, I'm not the guy she set it up with, then, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of helps my case, right? But they're hiding her from us for 2 years, right? And when we finally find her, because we had a private investigator, that was doing some work for us, and we have him go do things, but when he actually found her, guess where she was? Same house, same house she was. Didn't change her phone number. And with this one, she's doing a stray cat program.
That's
with
the
the
interview
sheriff's
I
department.
saw.
She's bragging about this on Facebook, right? And okay, so they run us this crap for 2 years that they can't find her, right? And I mean, it's costing me. You gotta understand, this is costing me years of my life in jail. I'm still in jail at this point, right? And yet they're running us that they can't find this girl. Now, okay, you got to think, okay. According to all the hype, she is a local crackhead, crack hoe, whatever you want to call it, right? I don't really like using those terms, but, man, that's pretty much, man, I mean, there's not much else I can say. That's the hype, right? And the thing is, okay, so why would the police, protect a crack hoe from prosecution in a murder charge, right? This is a homicide, and man, she set it up, which means she's guilty of felony murder at that point, right? And she had, multiple witnesses. She had physical evidence against her. Because that would be the writings on the wall, all that would count as physical evidence. So she has evidence against her. She has, man, witnesses against her. Again, circumstantial evidence against her. I mean, you can keep on going down the line, right? And it's like, okay, so why would they protect her? Why would they keep her away from us for 2 years? You know what I'm saying? And we eventually find her, and oh yeah, man, and that all hell breaks loose then. But okay, but when when we knew where she was, right, and we were going to serve her a subpoena in like a couple days. That's when this August 3rd hearing happens, right? And okay, so we're in there, and we actually accuse the prosecution and the police of hiding her because we know she did. We know they did, right? It's not a matter of, it's not a question. You know what I'm saying? And when we make that accusation, the prosecutor, Colleen Dunn at the time, she gets up there and she starts making this overly dramatic, speech about, man, well, I would love to ask her questions, Your Honor. I'd love to have her here, but we just can't find her. And she's slamming her foot on the ground and all this other crap, right? And at the time, I had already filed as co-counsel with my attorneys, because I wanted to be able to sit at the table as opposed to sitting up in the juror's stand where they can't talk to me and I can't talk to them. And, so I can't answer questions for them. I can't ask questions of them, none of that stuff, right? But now, and Judge Jones was pissed because I was the only defendant, man, in jail who was actually, they had to bring me over to the table to be with my lawyers. So he got kind of pissed that I was getting special treatment.
Right.
But the thing is, so anyway, so as I'm sitting there and she does all this dramatic crap, what I did, I'd let off like a, something like that, right? Because it was sickening because, I already know, you know what I mean? And so anyway, when I do that, Judge Jones turns on me and he's like, "Is there something funny over there?" And I was like, "No, Your Honor, please continue. Please excuse me. I apologize,
Right.
Something like that, right?" And he goes off on me. And he's just like, "Well, it seems to be the MO of this defense. They're lying. They're cheating. They're breaking the rules. Well, you better have some darn good reasons for those accusations." Starts going at me like that, right? Now I get mad, right? And I'm like, "Well, we have proof, Your Honor." And he just shuts up and moves along. Doesn't say anything after that.
He's like, never mind.
Right, exactly. And the thing is okay,
I know you do.
but that's what proved it to Kara that, and he was dirty. Right. Okay. Because she still didn't know he was dirty yet. Right. She just thought he was a prick. You know what I mean? So anyway, so of course, man, I've known for a little while now. Right. But here's what happened with the proof as far as, man, the witness tampering part goes. Because, okay, while I was in jail, somebody comes up to me, and this is when I'm in max security. Right. So you got about 100 guys in the dorm, man, and it's max security. We don't go anywhere. We have our own yard, so we, it's, and I'm in there with the worst guys they got, you know what I mean? So that's always fun. But anyway, so one of the guys came back from court and he tells me that, man, my case had come up during that day, which I thought was weird, right? Because, okay, if we went to court at that time, Rory Wilson was going, I was going, and Travis was going. We all go to court on the same day, right? They keep us separated, but we go to the court on the same day. But so we didn't go to court. I'm like, okay, so why is anybody, talking about my case at trial? So I go ahead and I have Kara pull the transcripts, right, for that day, and sure enough, it turns out, you're gonna like this one. Judge Jones is the judge, right? The prosecutor at the time was Patrick Flanagan, because, okay, shortly after that August 3rd hearing, Colleen Dunn, gets suspended by the bar, and has to be let go by the state attorney's office because, she's no longer a lawyer, at least not for a year, right? She got suspended for, it was fraud on the court, which means she lied to the court,
Right.
and withholding evidence, right? So this is what she gets, man, suspended for a year for. And this is in another case. This is a Thomas Skinner case, which actually he's been wanting to talk to people because he's still trying to get out of prison now. He got sentenced to life. And oddly enough, Kara was his attorney when this happened, so she ended up being a witness against Dunn, right? But Dunn ended up taking a plea deal anyway, and she admitted that what she did and whatever. But okay, so now we have Patrick Flanagan, and so he's the state side of this, right? So you got the judge, then you got the prosecutor from the case, and okay, to top it all off, it's a witness that is actually up there, for his charges, right? This guy, man, he had actually taken an axe at his dad, is what he had done.
Gosh.
Right. Now, check this out, though. So he had taken an axe at his dad. His name is Austin Odom, right? And Austin only really applies to me, right? Because he was there that morning when I supposedly threatened April Walker. I threatened to kill April Walker and her baby if she kept talking to the police and all that crap, right? That morning, right? And he knew I didn't do that, right? So, I mean, because he was there that morning, right? So he knows I didn't do it. And so anyway, so the person defending him was a guy named Kevin McCarthy, who also represented Travis Johnson. So you can't really have a lawyer that's representing a defendant, representing a witness,
right,
in a separate case, right? So anyway, so when I get this transcript and I read this thing, right? Now you have all three people, man, are involved in the homicide case, right? And then you have the witness who's involved in the homicide case, right? What Judge Jones does is he orders this guy to leave the state, right? Orders him. And he cuts off all his drug offender probation, orders him to leave the state, and then tells him if he comes back, he's going to prison. So the thing is okay, this is a witness in a homicide case, right? You can't order a witness in a homicide case. First off, a judge can't order anybody to leave anywhere, except in two cases: evictions and deportations. You know what I'm saying? That's about it. But no, you cannot, as a judge, order somebody out of the county or order them out of the city or the state or anything like that. This is a free country. You can go where you want. Now, he can strongly suggest that, but he can't order that, right?
So what was his reason for ordering it?
That's a good question. It really is, because, man, I've never gotten that answered. You know what I'm saying? No, because here's what happens is, okay, so now he admonishes me in that one hearing, right? And I have this transcript not long after that, right? So when I write that letter to him, I still have that hearing fresh in my head, right? And I was like, and I'm going off. I'm like, I was like, Your Honor, let's not talk about the police's misconduct. Let's not talk about the prosecutor's misconduct. Let's talk about your misconduct, because, felony murder is one hell of an accusation, Your Honor. And where are your darn good reasons? Because, and I start going off, right? And I'm like, and I start going off about the him ordering a witness to leave the state, threatening him if he comes back. I mean, basically that's the same as putting a gun to his head, and telling him to leave town, So, I mean, no, that's witness tampering all day. And judges can be accused of that too, right? And the thing is witness tampering in a capital case, you know what the penalty for that is? Life in prison.
I was going to say, I've heard you talk about it.
Life in prison.
So,
right. So good old Judge Jones, committed. And here's the kicker. I find out that he's not only done this with one witness, but two. Right. So he does it with Belinda Corrales too. Only with Belinda, it's not leave the state, it's leave the county. You know what I'm saying? So, but don't come back. Both of them don't come back. And no, you don't get to do that. I'm sorry. So yes, since 2019, prior to trial, and man, everybody thinks I'm crazy because I accuse the judge of these things. But bottom line is I have proof. I have the court minutes, man, which, again, say specifically, Judge Jones ordered Belinda Corrales to leave the county, told her not to come back, that kind of stuff. It doesn't say told her not to come back, something else. But man, something similar to that, right?
But it meant don't come back.
But it literally says ordered her out of the county. And same thing with Austin Odom, right? I have the full transcript from from that one. And I get to see everything that was said. And the thing is okay, why is a judge ordering witnesses in a homicide case to leave the state or leave the county and not come back. You know what I mean? And I mean, so yeah, everybody thought Judge Jones didn't like me. And no, judges don't get disbarred. Well, they can, but man, because they're still lawyers. But no, the JQC, I'm working on that complaint right now, and that's the Judicial Qualifications Commission. They're the ones who take care of that. It's kind of like the bar for judges. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that now that, man, he's not on the case anymore. And see, here's the problem, and this is where you guys, man, probably don't get this. The problem is when you make complaints, right? Whether it be with the bar or the JQC or any of the other, regulatory boards, right? Problem is they don't want to hear it from a defendant who is, currently, being prosecuted, right? Because, okay, and I get it because, man, a lot of times people, look, you'd have everybody and their brother, man, trying to get off their case by saying, yeah, my judge is dirty. Y'all need to, take his license, all that stuff,
Yep.
right? But the problem with that is there are people who actually have these problems, right? Now, what are they
Exactly.
supposed to do?
Exactly.
And that's where we were at. We were like, okay, well, we know these things, but what do we do about them? And here's the other kicker, because everybody was like, oh, well, you should just go ahead and get another judge or get a change of venue or something like that. Well, here's the problem with that. Guess what? The judge has to approve that.
Right.
Is he going to do that?
No.
Hell no.
Nope.
Right. So what he does is, man, he goes ahead and he recuses himself he disqualifies himself off of Austin Odom's case. Right. So he takes himself off of there. And, if I remember right, he goes ahead and he orders the transcript fixed because, okay, one of the other things they did is Kevin McCarthy's name was accidentally, typoed so that it, man, wasn't Kevin McCarthy on the transcript,
Okay.
which I thought was kind of messed up too, but whatever. That's
Yeah.
another thing I brought up. So when I was making those accusations and I wrote that nasty letter to the judge, now I did have a purpose behind it. And I actually showed it to my attorneys before I sent it. It's not like, they didn't see it. The only reason they approved me writing, what would be considered by most a crazy letter to the judge, is because I was right. And man, not only was I right, okay, what it did, and it worked for quite a while, was back him off of us, right? So that, man, yes, man, because he was down our throats, man, at the very beginning. And I mean, anytime, we brought up any of this misconduct, he was like, again, he turned on us and, man, went on, would go off about it. So he didn't want to hear anything to do with misconduct, right? Even though we had tons of proof, right? Because, Colleen Dunn, yes, she lied at my bond hearing, which would be called an Arthur hearing, right? That's what that's called, which is kind of like a mini trial. And that's when she set me up with the jailhouse snitch. Her and the police set me up with the jailhouse snitch. And she got in there, did her little routine in there talking about, he had no obvious incentives to lie. He was just, appalled by Mr. Tucker's lack of remorse and all this other crap, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I knew the day they set me up, man, with the snitch. I knew that, man, the day it happened. And, I did have a little protection because what I did is I went ahead and called Lauren and told her what was happening, knowing that those calls are recorded.
Yeah.
And so, it was going to be hard for people to believe that, I'm out there bragging about my crime and all this other shit, when I'm sitting there on the phone with my girl telling her, man, look, I'm being set up and this is how I know, and man, this is what's going to happen, and right? And, well, she did the whole no obvious incentive reason, no obvious incentives to lie, right? This guy did like eight taped interviews. You've seen them on our channel. I'm sure that, they're there. Guy named Ian Jackson, right? And this guy does, a bunch of interviews. But the one we don't get, the tape we don't get is his very first one. We get all the other ones, but we're missing the first one, right? When I go to my bond hearing, we get it 4 months after I'm denied bond, right? So now I can't get out of jail, right? At least at the time I couldn't, right?
Right.
So anyway, so I'm sitting there and, man, I can't get out of jail because this guy, man, that was mostly based on his testimony, right? Because they didn't have anything else, right? That and my co-defendants, they were trying to cut deals. Rory Wilson, the guy who actually did it, right? The guy who actually killed Matt, according to all the evidence, right? They were going to give him 5 years to testify against me. That's what they were telling him, right? That's what they're telling him, right? So, okay, you know, yeah, you talk about this. I know, yeah, tell me, I saw a therapist for a little while, and he kept on, man. He was like, I can't believe you haven't gone crazy yet. It's like, who says I haven't? You know, but I'm just saying, because the whole point is you're not supposed to know, right?
Right.
Anyway, so anyway, so so I go through this thing with Naeem Jackson, right? And man, we know I got set up. Like I said, I told the lawyers even after I called Lauren, right? I was like, told them what happened, and I was like, I know I'm being set up. It's not a question. I mean, just there was a bunch of different telltale signs, man, for me, and I knew they were going to do it anyway. Because I think you've probably heard me say this before. One of the powers of being innocent, right, is that yes, you didn't do it, right? So that means they have no evidence. They can't, right? Whatever they're bringing, they got to manufacture it somehow, right? I mean, and all y'all, true crime junkies out there, man. I mean, the very first thing they're going to go for, right? I mean, it's in damn near every prosecutor's repertoire. If I ain't got no evidence, well, go get me a CI, go get me a snitch. Straight up, it happens all the time. And it's a huge red flag for me. If I ever see a case, especially one that doesn't have very much evidence, and man, I see jailhouse snitch, CI, informant, any of that kind of crap on there, no, that case is bad. It's just straight up bad. Oh no, hey, what's up, Becca? How you doing? Oh no, hey, don't worry. You ain't got to make it to all of them. But yeah, so that
So
whole thing.
on the jailhouse snitch thing, I don't know because obviously you're busy,
Well,
but
this goes back to I mean, everything it's all, man. It's horrible, all of it. But it goes back to the whole Anthea thing. They're hiding this chick. Then they set me up with the
right,
jailhouse snitch. I mean, it's like, and that guy took 2 years for us to get rid of. And then the prosecution, even though at the time when we finally get rid of him, we had 3 officers admit to setting me up with him. We had tons of evidence, man, saying that, man, from jailhouse records and different things, saying that, man, they did this. Oh, and he had no obvious incentives, to lie. Guy has a contract with the sheriff's department, actual contract, right? He's worked over 50 cases, testifying against people, right? And so he worked over 50
yeah,
cases. He gets off his charges, which is if we finally get that first interview tape. And yeah, the cop in there asks him, he's like, okay, well, obviously you want something. What do you want? And he's like, well, I want my charges dropped. I want to be back on probation. I want the restraining order against my girl dropped, and, so he has this list. And guess what? He gets all of it. And not only does he get all of it, when we finally get those records, he gets paid $2,000 on top of it.
oh,
What
nice.
I'm saying? So, all good, right? State bribing witnesses. You got to love it, right? So anyway, what they're
I don't know
doing
if you,
was what they're doing with the gag order. Please explain to me, Ty. Well, okay, the gag order is kind of a complicated thing here, because okay, what the prosecution is trying to say, and man, look, we know first off, and this is one of the arguments I'm making in there, because what they're trying to say is that it's going to disturb the orderly administration of justice because they're not going to be able to get a jury because, man, there's all this publicity and and they're all listening to me, right? It's all me, it's all me, right? Not again, not being honest with the judge that, man, look, you ain't turning back the clock, homie. You know what I'm saying? Everybody and their brother knows about the case. There's tons of videos out there, and man, look, I don't have to do another damn video or say another damn word, and
right,
there's going to be a bunch of people, man, who know about this case. And any tainting of the jury pool, it was done, man. Freaking first off, again, wasn't supposed to be another trial, so I mean, it's that kind of, man, was the thinking, I guess. And no, there's currently no gag order at the moment, and if I have anything to say about it, there won't be one, because look, they don't have a right to ask for one, as far as I'm concerned. First off, I don't think they have a right to ask for anything after what they've done, right? That the whole lying to the jury at the end of the trial, that was bad enough. It's bad enough to get Alvarez and Mansfield both disbarred. You know what I mean? And not only that, Ward, because man, Ward has approved all this stuff, right? So okay, none of them should be attorneys, which means none of them should be able to ask for anything in my case, is
right.
the way I feel. But okay, but since we're not quite there yet, yes, and Christine, we're definitely doing an interview on Saturday, as long as they haven't shut us up by then.
So,
Um,
DG wants to know if you're still doing your live tonight.
Well, and I'll be doing that. Today's not Friday, is it? I don't
Yeah,
think so. Is it?
it is.
Oh
Yes.
my God, I'm a day behind. Jesus Christ. Okay, so in that case, yes, I am, and yeah, I'll make it real special just for the prosecutors because, man, we've had so much fun talking about Mr. Mansfield, man, during my little
Oh, yeah.
updates. But this time, you know what? We'll make it about Dennis Ward because Dennis Ward, oh no, he's a special case. Dennis Ward is about as big a scumbag as they come. And I'll say that, to his face, and I'll say that to the judge. And man, one of the things he said in there, he complained that I was making slanderous remarks, and I had to remind him that, the legal definition of slander, no, I can't slander somebody if I'm telling the truth, first off. And I also can't slander somebody if it's my opinion,
Right.
which, okay, scumbag, yeah, that's my opinion, and, when I say that, you did these dirty things, well, guess what? Yeah, that's the truth. So, and that's why, if you notice, he'll say that I was slanderous or whatever, right? But he doesn't deny a single thing I say in that whole motion, right? He'll say that, man, I make all these allegations, I'm making all these allegations and I'm making them public and da 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 da. Does he deny a single one?
Nope. No, because I read it. I was
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't deny a single thing in there, does he?
no,
It's like, okay, if you felt so horribly about it, what I'm saying, and then I'm making these, he doesn't even say they're false accusations. He
nope.
doesn't even say that in there, right? But I'm making all these allegations public. Well, why am I not supposed to make them public? Matter of fact, that's the whole reason for a public trial, is so that you can't do what you're trying to do. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which is actually the case law I was talking about. I found some good case law about that. Where literally, yes, the public is considered the best check against men, against, what we're seeing here in a criminal case. You know what I mean? When you see this kind of misconduct, especially, what they say in the case law is against, abuse of judicial power, which we've already seen that. But I mean, in this case, we've seen systemic abuse because it came from the trifecta. You had the cops, the prosecutors, and the judge all acting dirty. And unfortunately, that's the thing too, is okay, because man, this is the one case I've ever seen, and I've read a lot of them now, right? I don't watch the TV, stuff on court TV and stuff like that, but I've read so many different cases at this point, it's ridiculous, right? Um,
Hey,
and I'll
Lauren.
be very interested in this case. I live down in South Florida, not too far from Key West. Well, where are you living? Which island? Hey, what's up? Yeah, my wife entered.
Yeah.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Lauren.
So
Does she
I
want
was
to come
just
on?
telling him
Or
about good old Naeem Jackson, Anthea Clay, how I knew
so
the judge was dirty, all that other kind of crap.
going back to Anthea Clay, because I didn't watch any of your videos. I
Okay.
just watched the trial.
Okay.
That's and like I've told you, I didn't know anything about
Oh
you.
yeah.
I'd
Anthea
never,
is a
but
special one. I mean, well, she was.
she,
Here's the thing is she was a special one because unfortunately she's no longer with us.
yes, but
Um,
whatever you presented in court
yep.
made that's where I was like, they got the wrong person.
Well, I mean, yeah.
It's
Well, the thing
Anthea,
was is,
and
yeah.
so
I
I don't
mean,
know how it
look,
wasn't obvious to everybody because I knew nothing.
we were hoping, I mean, it's not that, look, um, it's unfortunate because, okay, when we did actually get a hold of Anthea and we brought her in for depo, right? And of course, Captain Phelps at the time, oh, well, you guys found her and blah, 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 And then, oh, well, one of my favorites is when she interviews Anthea Clay, which is on our channel, by the way. When she interviews Anthea, she tries to hit her with, well, why were you hiding from us? And, this, and Anathea's like, I wasn't hiding. Y'all knew right where I was at.
Right.
So it's like, yeah.
I'm sending Lauren a link.
Oh
Or
yeah, it was
I
obvious to everyone but the cops that were protecting her. Yeah, that's true.
I
Um,
sent you a link, Lauren, if you want it.
but yeah, so it's so Anthea has been this like big mystery, but not so much a mystery to me. So because I asked you a couple kind of common sense kind of logic questions, right? It's like, okay, why would Oh, hey, well, I like the sound of that.
We'll have to I'll jump off if she jumps on.
Ooh, this is about to become a whole different type of show.
Oh,
Gotta
don't get
remember,
us
man,
started
we
because
did get popped for that when I was in jail.
we had a
Um,
really whole
anyway,
different other
beside
show
the
the
point.
other day, so,
Um,
yeah,
so
don't
the
start
thing
on
is,
that.
no, Anathea, okay, just off the rip, and I mean, this is before we actually knew some of the stuff, right? Um, just off the rip, you got to ask, okay, well, why'd they let her leave the crime scene? And why didn't they collect the evidence, man, that she left at the crime scene, or report the threat she made to Paula, or go and interview those witnesses that Paula said that she tried to set up the same crime with? That's called investigation. That's called actually doing an investigation, right? And
Right.
when people talk about, when people talk about, oh well, the investigation was shoddy. No, the investigation was no investigation, right? I mean, it's like, okay, so many. I mean, Lauren and I came up probably with a list of 100 different things that were done wrong in the first night, the very first night, that are standard police procedures. I mean, it's not something. It's not, some of it's not rocket science. If that one of the suspects was dropping evidence, man, all along the fucking street, what do?
Yep,
You block off the street,
yep,
right?
and you don't
They
let
had,
Anathea walk around
yeah.
the whole
Oh, and
thing,
then not only that, they had pedestrians coming up and picking up evidence and walking away with it. You
which is
know,
insane.
and then not only that, they didn't secure any of the witnesses that were there, so they all scattered like roaches and just took off, right? So I mean, Todd luckily came back, so
Right.
okay, you got one witness there, but the rest of them, man, they all took off. That's
Oh,
because nobody's there to scare him. And I even felt bad for, if you guys remember Mueller from the trial, she's the one that, man, she was up there. She was the first responder, right? So when they called 911, she's the first one to get there, right? And Mueller, I felt bad for her because, man, when I watched that video, okay, they don't even bother. Hey, what's up, man? And I meant to send you a copy there too. Uh, DD, man, I'm getting to it. I've got a few other people, man, who are getting these, because I think you deserve a copy of the gag order. And if you want to put your 2 cents in, one of the things I did is I sent notice to all the press, right? Anybody who's been covering this case, because under the law down there, you have the right to either file a motion or you can send a letter to the judge, but you have the right to voice your opinion on this gag order and whether or not it should actually be granted. The reason is because it affects your rights as much as it does mine, right? Because, okay, my rights, man, are being infringed upon, and Lauren's were unjustly the first time, because, okay, she had nothing to do with the case, really. She wasn't a witness. She wasn't, she wasn't a defendant. She wasn't, she had nothing to do with it, right?
right.
That'd be like me telling you can't talk about the case. You know what I mean? You can't do that,
Well,
right? The
and
judge doesn't have that power. You know what I'm
my
saying?
daughter asked me about that last night. She said, "Are you
Yeah,
gonna have to if they grant this, do you have to take" or no, Gabby asked me about that. Same
yeah.
thing. They act the same. But it's like, "Do you have to take everything down?" And it's like, "No,
No,
because
no, no.
one, that
You have freedom
happened
of the press, first
before,
off, and no,
and two,
we
I'm
didn't
not
even have to take
involved."
everything down when they issue. It's when they put it in the first time, the judge did not make us take everything down, right? Because again, it's already been out there. Everybody's already seen it. You know what I'm saying? It does no good. Besides the fact that the way the gag order works, and man, this is what I was telling you prior to coming on today, right? Because I had to change up my response because, okay, when I went and relooked at everything again, here's the thing: is even if there was a gag order in place right at the moment, most of the comments that I've made, that he's complaining about wouldn't qualify. They actually wouldn't. They wouldn't be covered under the gag order, because if you look at the very bottom of, provision of that, what it says is that anything that is widely distributed amongst the public, that is literally available, widely available to the public, doesn't qualify, right? So that would include all the videos, that would include almost all the documents. I mean, because again, they're widely available on the internet, and not only are they widely available on the internet, anybody can go ahead and get them through public information request or whatever,
Right.
right? So these are things that are widely available to the public, right? So anything I say, which would include all these allegations I'm making, right? And include the Anthea Clay thing. It includes, man, the Naeem Jackson thing. All this stuff has been brought up in court so long ago that, it is widely available to the public, right? He can't complain about any of it. He hasn't got a right to.
Right.
There's a provision that says that, straight up, I can talk about that all day. So even if he does manage to get the gag order reinstated, right? No, I'll still be talking about this stuff because it, again, doesn't apply. So it doesn't make a difference. I wish we had known that for those 3 years.
Right.
But again,
Even if he gets, like you said, even if he gets you shut down,
right?
he
No,
doesn't shut the rest of us down. And
no, but it
everything
definitely
that you
hampers
said,
your abilities, right?
it,
Okay, because as
yeah,
a journalist, it hampers your abilities when you can't talk to me, or you can't talk to Lauren, or
yes,
you can't, go and get, documents, or anything like this, right? I mean, it definitely hampers your ability, and that's why I'm saying where it applies to you, right? Because okay, that's why they have the law this way, that a third party can actually come in and file a motion, and claim their rights. Look, this affects my rights as freedom of the press. It affects, man, my rights to, go ahead and tell this story. And the public has a right to know. The Constitution is pretty specific about that too, and the law is pretty specific about that. And I argued, I told you, some case law that's in my response, where yes, I mean, the case law in that says that yes, publicity is a necessity to ensure justice. You know what I mean? Because there is no bigger check or balance, in the system than the public's opinion. You know what I mean? And when it comes to, and there's no bigger interest to the public than criminal trials, right? Because, man, I mean, again, you're talking about, there's probably no bigger repercussions in our entire system than what happens in a criminal trial. I mean, you look at my situation. I'm looking at life in prison.
right.
And even without the life sentence, I think it was 76 years, I think, something like that. So I mean, and in Florida, unfortunately too, they don't have parole there, right? So
Right.
I mean, if I get a life sentence, I'm dying in prison. You know what I mean? That, I don't, I mean, even just even saying that does not feel good,
I can't
right?
imagine what that
But
feels like.
yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, and it gives you some kind of idea. I mean, everybody thinks I wasn't scared going in that courtroom. Y'all are nuts. You know, I may have made it look good. I don't know, but man, but at the same time, you're damn right I was scared. You know, it's like, I mean, hell, they hit me with the only thing I'm actually scared of. I mean, dying is one thing, but man, being shoved into a box for the rest of your life, I mean,
Right.
it's a whole different thing.
And wrongfully so.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's another part a lot of people don't get is, when I say I get angry over it, the level of frustration that both Lauren and I have gone through with this whole thing. Talk about slamming your head up against the wall. It's like, how many times did we think this was going to be over? Because, we finally got, okay, now we got the answer to this and, we can prove it. And, that, and the judge just knocks it out from underneath of us. Right. And, it's, it was hard many times because, while I was forced to go through this, Lauren, not that she is, actually went through this voluntarily. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and I don't think either one of us had an idea in the beginning what it was going to be because, man, we didn't really know. It's like I knew I didn't do it, you know. But the thing is, man, so I knew I didn't do it, but we didn't know why I was there, or she knew that there were things wrong, wrong with the case because she looked at the offense report, and the offense report, yeah, if you look at that and compare it to the evidence, it doesn't actually match,
It,
So
yep.
that's why I was doing that with Malone when I was up there, right? When I was hitting her on the stand. That's because again, one of the other ones where they violated my rights again. This would be the judge and the prosecutors, is when they didn't allow me to go into the investigation or go into the misconduct in the investigation.
Yep.
Both of those are highly relevant. And man, yes, there's plenty of case law on that too,
'Cause
right?
that's what gets you there, right?
Yeah, but there, that was,
Investigation.
you heard the judge. Oh, that's irrelevant. It's, the investigation's irrelevant. You know,
I did never
yeah.
understand when he said that because
No,
'cause I'm
and
like,
nobody else did either. I mean,
"We
it's like,
wouldn't be
okay,
here if it wasn't for the investigation."
yeah, well, that, don't
That's
get me
what
wrong, that was my point. That's what I actually
that's what
said to him.
gets us
I was
here.
like, look, as far as I'm concerned, it's my word versus theirs. They're on trial as much as I am. You
Every
know what I'm saying?
investigation is on trial, as far as
And
I'm concerned.
no, and don't get me wrong, I know I shouldn't have been. Because like I told you, even with the JOA, I told you, man, the law. The law says I should have been, had my case dismissed before I ever went to trial, right? It should have never happened.
Right.
But, the guy I knew was dirty back in 2019, still dirty in 2024. Imagine that. Which, I mean, that was kind of my point to my lawyers when I went pro se. I was like, look, you know, we did everything we could everything we could to avoid what happened, right? Because, I mean, the idea of going to a trial where the judge is dirty and that he's not for you, you know, I mean, what are your chances of winning?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, how do you win? Right? I mean, that was our dilemma through a lot of this. How do you win? Right? Because, I mean, the judge is dirty. It's not a question. Right? So if it's not a question, this guy's dirty. Okay, and again, I'm not an expert in law. We all know that, right?
I
But
think you're
okay,
getting there.
well, I'm trying. It's like I spend a lot of nights reading. But okay, so the thing is okay. What the way I looked at it, right, at the time, right, and and I got to tell you, no, I haven't. I haven't. Well, actually, I gave her that bit of news prior to us coming on, but yeah, no, I haven't. I haven't announced it to everybody yet, but I should, I guess. Okay, Colleen Dunn, the one we were talking about earlier, the one that set me up with good old Naeem Jackson, the jailhouse informant, the one that lied at my bond hearing, that said he had no obvious incentives to lie and all that stuff. The one that actually got suspended by the bar twice now, once because of us, right?
Which is
Uh,
really says a lot because
yeah.
lawyers never get even hardly even get sanctioned, let
Oh,
alone suspended.
this woman's a peach. Let me tell you, I've got her not even on my case, but I've got her linked to, doing, committing egregious misconduct on at least four other cases. You know what I'm saying? Besides mine, and all murder cases. High, because she was okay at the time. When she took my case, at the time, she was in charge of their major crimes unit at the state attorney's office. So if it was a murder, if it was a rape, if it was if it was any kind of egregious crime, right? She's the prosecutor. You know what I'm saying? And now they all have them all coming back, right? Because of things that happened on their case, right? She, again, I don't think Colleen Dunn can win a case without cheating. You know what I'm saying? She's one of those. Even if she's got a slam dunk, right? No, the guy did it. She still has to cheat.
She has to cheat.
She just
That's
has to
who
do it.
she
It's
is.
like, man, she has to do it. And actually, it's not a rumor. I confirmed it. I actually confirmed it with somebody else and somebody who would be in the know. But yeah, so Colleen Dunn is, matter of fact, if I remember right, she will be back in the office Wednesday, I guess. So
Wow.
this woman who, you know, has, again, committed egregious misconduct and sent, people to prison unjustly. And matter of fact, I know that for a fact when it comes to my friend Billy that I met in there. I feel really bad about Oh, the Phelps rumor. Yeah, that's another one. Okay, y'all all remember, Miss Penny Phelps, man, from the interview room tapes, right? The woman who is largely responsible for where I'm at right now, and this woman, yeah. Well, apparently Dennis Ward has gotten it into his head to hire her as an investigator, right? So they will have the Dunn and Phelps team going again,
I don't mean to
and
laugh because it's not funny, it's unbelievable.
I mean, that's what, see, now you're talking about my whole life. You know what I mean? How many times I've said, man, if it wasn't my life, I wouldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Um, my life is, talk about, talk about,
Yeah, Lauren,
yeah,
that's
Lauren and I actually had this thing once, where,
incredible.
where, when I was seeing the therapist for a little while, right? We also were seeing a marriage counselor at the same time, and man, so in different therapists, but both of them said I was going to be messed up for life over this, right? And I remember at the time I was like, at the time I was like, man, that's kind of messed up to say. I think I'm handling it pretty good, all things considered, right? And but then a couple years later, Lauren and I are talking, and it's like, you know, here's the problem, and this is the world we live in. Both Lauren and I both have had to live in this world. Every day we wake up to a reality that, again, every day I'm like, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. This shouldn't be. This shouldn't be happening. How many times I've had lawyers look at the case and tell me that this just doesn't happen. This doesn't happen. Well, it does, and it sucks. And
Yep.
the thing is, but every day we both, man, would wake up, and you're waking up to a world that just shouldn't be in your head, right? But then you got the other side of your brain going, but it is, and you need to deal with this. You know what I'm saying? And that's so you got your two halves of your brain are sitting there arguing, amongst themselves about what's real. Well, how long can you live like that without losing it? I'm a pretty smart guy, and I'm pretty strong, but I can't say that, man, that's not going to affect me. You know what I mean? Because literally your brain is at war with itself every day. So they heard about the merch line dropping and panic. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man. It's funny because actually the gag order, them putting that in, has increased sales apparently. Because man, there's a bunch of people who are going to the shop now and want to buy stuff. So apparently they love the comic book one with me and the prosecutor.
And I
Let's see,
have to
guys,
agree with
speaking a
with
large audience and can show. Yeah, I know.
my channel is small.
No, and
And I
yeah,
know
and
she
that's
thinks
the
her
other thing.
channel is small, but I'm smaller, I
Well, and here's the thing is, even if I
smaller than her.
was, even if, and this is kind of what I'm arguing in the response is, even if I was, I have a responsibility to the public to do it at this point, right? Because okay, again, the whole reason we have a public trial, right? The whole reason trials are supposed to be public, the whole reason we have freedom of speech, the whole reason we have freedom of the press is, man, so that yes, the government cannot do what it's doing right now, right? That the reason our founding fathers put this in there, right, is so that, man, yeah, so that the government can't act in the dark and, man, just go ahead and do what they want with the citizens. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole point, right? Well, and that's like I said, I have case law that says literally publicity is the number one check against the government, you know, and it is, that's why, okay, that's why when I knew I was going up against a dirty judge, right? I know I'm going up against a dirty judge. I have no choice. He said, okay, I got to go to trial on the 8th. Well, okay, if I know I'm going up against a dirty judge, then yeah, I want cameras there.
That's not what I wanted.
At least, man, hopefully they would keep him somewhat in check. That was the idea, But these guys are so bad that even with the cameras there, they couldn't keep themselves in check. It's like, I mean, you got to wonder. People always, a lot of people will criticize and they'll say that I could have won if I had had lawyers, right? No, they would have got hosed, you know, because the difference is okay. You got to think, okay, for all the stuff they did with the cameras there, if the lawyers, if I had still had my lawyers, there's a good chance there wouldn't have been TV cameras there, right? The whole
Right.
reason they came is because, man, I went pro se,
Say, yep.
right? And I knew that was going to happen. Don't think that wasn't calculated. It definitely was. And I hopefully none of them feel bad about that, But the bottom line is, man, look, I needed somebody to keep the judge in check. You know what I'm saying? Because without those cameras there, no, he's going to do whatever the hell he wants.
Right.
And man, yes, I was going to be convicted. He had it in his mind I was going to be convicted. And part of the reason is because I had that proof on him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I talked to Lauren about this later, is like, okay, I wasn't okay. The reason I wrote the letter was to back him off of us, right? And it worked for years, right? He definitely calmed down. He at least tried to act right. You know what I'm saying? Tried to. But here's the problem with that is he's still dirty and he's always going to be dirty. And in the end, when it comes to trial, he's going to be dirty, you know? And when we got close to trial, sure enough, man, reared its ugly head with that order. And man, next thing you know, he's screwing. He put us behind the eight ball. There's no doubt about it. Because now he just effectively tainted the entire jury pool, saying that the defense is full of shit. It's nothing more than conspiracy theories and personal attacks and that kind of stuff. Not that all that evidence we actually have matters.
Right.
Um, you know, and that's why he didn't really have an answer for that when I hit him with that during the JOA, when I was like, we had 3 officers all admit to doing it. How much evidence do you need, Your Honor? You know what I'm saying? But it didn't happen because you say it didn't happen. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? It's like, no,
Well, and they didn't see you coming. When they heard
no.
you were going pro se, and
Oh
that's the
no, no,
thing,
no. That threw him for a loop. He no,
none
he
of
did
us
not
saw
see
you
that coming.
coming
And that's
because
kind of been my point too. The other, there were a few benefits to going pro se. One is it brought the cameras, right? The other thing is while they knew pretty much what my attorneys would do, right? They have no idea what the dancing monkey's going to do. Straight up. They have no idea. So every day they're coming in there, they have no freaking clue what I'm bringing. You know, and whether it be good, bad, or otherwise, right? I mean, they just have no idea what to expect, and that's a good thing, right?
right.
That's what I need. I need them off of their game. I need them not being able to predict what's going to happen. You know,
Well, and
um,
you're not the typical pro se defendant.
no, I'm not. But
You're
man, I mean,
I
I'm
mean,
I'm
you're
just learning that now. I'm actually just learning that now. So man, it's like I didn't really know much about other pro se defendants, but when I saw Daryl Brooks, I was like, oh man,
I mean, I'm watching
oof.
one right now, that he's going pro se, and I
Oh.
don't know why because
I
I think
don't get me
he can
wrong. I
get
had a bad influence on that from what I've gathered now.
I
Because
thought about you and I thought, "I wonder if he's seen Ty."
no,
Like,
because what's
I still
funny?
think
One okay,
everybody
one of the very
think
first
they should
court
do it.
hearings with the new judge, I had to sit there all day and I had to watch all these people go. Right, man. It's one of the first times that we did. I think it actually was the first time that we did it with the new judge. Right. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching these guys go up and then do their thing, whatever. Right. And at least like 10 of these people went pro se, and I'm just like, that is not normal for the county, right? I mean, there's pro se, there's some pro se inmates, but man, seeing 10 of them come up, man, that are going, just going pro se. And then the other one was okay, right after the mistrial, right? This guy, man, who is again up there for a murder charge, right? He had already, apparently taken the plea. He rescinded his offer on the plea and man decided he wanted to go to trial. it's like,
Wow.
it's like,
I
eh,
Hey,
the
I've gotta tell you, because I gotta tell Lauren too, because our first interview that we did, well, our only other one, Lauren asked me if I would take a plea deal if
right.
I was in your shoes. I said yes.
No, I
And
remember you told me that. You told me the
and
same thing.
it
Yeah.
shocked her. And I've thought about it a lot since then. And 2 reasons. I think if I would like to think now, if I was actually in your shoes,
You don't want to be there.
I don't wanna be there ever, but I would like to think that I would fight more for
Yeah.
myself. But the other thing is it would be easy for me to sit here and where I'm at in no trouble and say, "Yeah, no, I wouldn't take a plea deal." I'd fight
Right.
that because 'cause I'm
Yeah.
not fighting anything. So, I can't really say
No, it's look,
exactly
it
what I
really
would
does.
do,
It's
but
hard.
I think about it a lot.
Yeah, well, it's hard. It's really hard, man. Look, you know, it wasn't really that hard a decision for me, right? Because man, okay, I had first off, by the time, man, I accepted the fact that they were going to continue to prosecute me. It had been about 2 months, right? 2, 3 months, somewhere in there, right? Because at first I told Lauren when Lauren offered me help, um, she offered me help, and at first I told her no because look, they only did a 5-day investigation. I was like, look, I'm like, they're going to keep investigating. They're going to realize I didn't do it. You know what I mean? And they're going to let me go. I told her I got this. It's like I got this. Don't worry about it. Because first off, I don't like taking help from people anyway. For the most part. So I told her I had it. But the one cool thing about her, man, on the right, it's facing like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
This
yeah. Oh, apparently somebody who doesn't know the story quite yet. Thanks for filling them in there, DD. Um, And man, I still like the idea of us doing an interview someday, man. I'll even wear a costume for it. I'm down. As long look, just promise me it's not going to turn into a homicide charge somewhere down the line. you know, but
When I look at your page and look at the comments, and I've kind of seen them maybe calm down, or maybe I'm just haven't looked deep enough
right.
of the people that think you're guilty. Because
Oh yeah.
my question is, on what evidence?
No, and don't get me wrong. I ask the same question of all of them, right? Whenever I see somebody come up, one of the haters come up, whatever, like that kind of thing, and I'll be like, okay, you're telling me you think I'm guilty. Okay, I get that. You think I'm a scumbag, whatever. That all that stuff. Okay, why?
Yeah,
And
just
man,
give me a
look,
why.
and it almost invariably comes down to like prejudicial kind of crap. It's because I'm a narcissist, or my ego, or because man, oh look at my eyes, or or whatever, any of that kind of crap, right?
Which
It's always
none
because
of
of that
that
kind of stuff,
matters. And
huh?
it's like none of that matters. Your
No, it's not supposed
personality,
to matter.
yeah,
That's
no, it
that's
shouldn't
the thing.
matter.
It's not supposed to matter,
Yes, and
right?
it gets and I had people when we were watching, there was people in my chat was like, "I don't like him," and I was like, "I
Yeah.
doesn't matter."
No, and it doesn't. Here I think I told you this before. Actually, here's one with me. It's like okay, um, you know, with me, it's like even Rory Wilson, right? Now, Rory Wilson, all the evidence says he did it, right? There is no doubt in my mind that he did that, right? Matter of fact, it's going wrong, because yeah, it used to really upset me, man, thinking about Paula and man, and thinking about him, because again, I know the size difference and all this other stuff, right? So I could visualize it. Because Paula was like 90 pounds soaking wet, even when
Yeah,
she was
she
healthy.
was nothing.
Yeah, even when she was healthy. But she's strong. Talk about strong woman. Anyway, so the thing is so yes, I know he did this, right? However, he's going to get a new trial, and not only that, he deserves one. And the reason I'll say that is because no, he did not get effective assistance of counsel when he went up for his trial. There is no doubt about it. Anna Gomez Mulatto was probably one of the worst attorneys I've ever seen in my life. She showed up to a trial with an empty notepad and a pen.
Okay.
Right. Didn't what? I mean, Lauren could probably answer this man as well as I could, I guess. I don't even know how many depositions she actually showed up for. Right. So this is a murder case. I mean, it's a fairly serious thing. He's doing life in prison. That's what he's there for, right? Look, you know, if we're gonna have these laws and we're gonna have these rules and we're gonna have this system, it has to work the same for everybody. That
Yep.
means, man, Rory Wilson too. For as much as I can't
Yeah.
stand that guy, what I'm saying, I can't stand the guy. But I'll tell you what, yes, he deserves a fair trial. What
And
I'm saying?
yep. And that's what I
Um,
always tell everybody. If the worst of us can't get it, the best of us can't get it.
right.
A fair
No,
trial.
I mean, if we start bending it, man, for people we think are guilty, then I mean, okay, well, then, again, look at my eyes, whatever,
Who
and
cares?
then, man, all
Yeah.
of a sudden, nobody deserves a fair trial anymore.
Well, and then
Actually,
I think I've told you, it's like you have well, they were arrested crowd. So
well, oh yeah, yeah,
they were
I've
arrested, so
heard
they're
that one a
going
million
to
times too.
they
You
were
must have done
prosecuted.
something,
Yeah, they don't
I didn't
do that.
arrest you for nothing, and all this other kind of crap. It's
It
like,
drives me nuts because
it drives me nuts too. It's like, look, man, look, even if it wasn't dirty, dirty shit, right? Even if it was all legit, say it was all on the up and up, cops make mistakes and they
they're
are human.
human.
You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
do make mistakes. Same thing with prosecutors, same thing with judges. Everybody, look, everybody's human. We all make mistakes, right? But the problem, part of the problem is they won't admit it. When
Right.
they make a mistake, they don't admit they're wrong. They have to hold on to it, man. We have to be right. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, there goes our credibility, I guess. I guess that's the way they're thinking in their head. I don't know. But the bottom line is, it's like you can't do that. You know, you know, you are, I take a public service fairly hard as far as this goes. Like I don't think that cops, or prosecutors or judges or any of them that take a public oath of office, right? If they take a public oath of office, then no, they don't get a smack on the wrists. Matter of fact, they should get worse penalties than a normal person. Because a normal person, look, if you bust, you bust me doing a crime, right? Say I do a crime, right? You bust me doing a crime. that, man, look, I made no promises to anybody. I didn't promise the people of our country that I would protect us. I didn't, promise the people of our country that I would obey the laws and I would go ahead and enforce the laws. Right? I made no promises to anybody. But once I do, then yeah, the public should hold you to it, just like I did with my children, right? You lie to me, man, the punishment's gonna be 10 times worse, right?
Right.
That's how I treat my children, right? It's like, okay, if you lie to me about it, then man, it's gonna be worse, right? So why isn't it not that way, man, when we're talking about public officials? Instead, what do? We give them immunity so they can't be sued. The hell is that? You know? And I mean, and even qualified immunity. A lot of people don't understand how qualified immunity works, man, but it's horrible, right? Because, unless there's an exact same crime, that man, exact same infringement on somebody's rights, well, then you can't bring a case against them. And it's like, okay, well, the world does change and there are new things that come up, so what you're saying is they'll never be able to be brought up for that, oh, because it was theft done over the internet and it's never been prosecuted before. Now it's not a crime.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah, the whole I
I
don't know.
just
I
find
feel
there's way too many protections in there. And it's like, I got to think it's by design in some ways. I really
but
do.
the other thing that needs to stop, and I kind of in my email yesterday to you, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop ranting now because I could have probably written you a 20-page
Oh, no, you
email
were doing, it was funny.
just on the rant. But the
It's funny
media,
because we were exactly opposite what, man, we normally are. Because I was the one, man, being, a couple words or whatever.
yeah,
And yeah, you were going off on me. And
like
we all
oh,
know
I
I got
got
a mouth.
started. Yeah, it,
So,
the media, how you were portrayed in on Law and Crime, Court TV
yeah.
before your trial. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
like you're just a drug addict
I was a
that
scumbag.
thinks he could go and
Yep.
he's smarter than everyone else and can
Yep.
do this. And he's going to end up in prison for the rest of his life.
Believe me.
I mean, it was horrible. And they do that to everyone.
Oh yeah, no, they call that pro se shaming. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing: is okay, and I wouldn't recommend a lot of people go pro se, but I do have a little bit different opinion now than even I did at the end of trial, right? Because at the end of trial, I was telling people like, look, I would never recommend anybody do this. I did it for a very specific reason, and this circumstance doesn't work out for most people, right? Most people don't find themselves in my circumstance. It's kind of an anomaly, right? Like I said, there was how many lawyers, and you can ask Lauren this, how many lawyers, man, looked at the case and they were just like, at first they would criticize us and stuff. Then they start looking at it and they're just like, this just doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? This never happens, and man, Lauren and I are going, yes, it does. Can you help us? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Because
it's
I'm
like,
here.
so yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
So,
I
you know,
I
but
don't
the
know.
thing is
I'm
okay.
speechless a lot of the times when I start watching these trials. I can't, well, I can't say I won't because I told you and I'll tell Lauren, I've given Vinny another
Oh yeah, yeah.
try.
Yep. Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah,
And Vinny, look, Vinny is, man, he's
we're
actually a
doing
decent
better.
guy.
We're doing
Especially for
better.
a
Yeah.
prosecutor. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't like too many prosecutors. I don't. To be honest, I really don't like too many lawyers. Um,
Oh,
you know,
oh, yeah. And I'm
it's like,
very hard on prosecutors.
I
I know I am.
swear, lawyers are one of the most arrogant professions I've ever seen. Name me another profession where I give you my money, and then you're going to turn around and tell me, no, 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 we're not doing it that way. We're going to do it my way, and you're going to sit down, you're going to shut up, and you're going to do it my way. How many professions, man, can you get away with doing that?
Right.
Even doctors know you can get a second opinion. You know what I'm saying? But lawyers, no, they think, and talk about people who think they're the smartest guy in the room. Oh yeah, always, always. And male, unfortunately for us males, yes, male lawyers are the worst about it. I mean, they literally, can't say it on the air or whatever, but man, it turns into a slinging contest. You know what I'm saying? Whose is bigger? That's what
Right.
it boils down to.
And Becca, you're right, Becca, because that's watching the interviews with Ty and Lauren kind of helped, turn my opinion of
Yeah.
him a little bit. And then so I thought, well, if you guys can put up with him
I couldn't believe that Vinny actually liked
as
me.
me, yeah,
I couldn't
But
believe it. And I was
it
like, I
tells
mean,
me a lot.
because I caught very little of this stuff during the trial. I was too busy, trying to prepare,
Right.
trying to get ready for the next day, that stuff, right? But when I see, man, when I catch that stuff and I catch lawyers up there and they're giving me like 9 out of 10 for the day, and I'm like, okay, I know you guys hate pro ses, so why are you, man? Why are you being
But
nice?
you're just
You know what I'm
archetype
saying?
because
It's
you weren't
like,
typical.
well, I
That's the
didn't,
thing.
but I also didn't know that, right? There's a lot of things I didn't know, as
Right.
far as this whole thing went. I just did it because I thought it was the best course of action, not because I actually researched the odds of winning. I didn't realize that the odds of winning are outrageously low, you know. So, it's like,
And that was the worry. Once
you
once
know,
we got into the trial and we're watching the trial and there would be things that you were trying to argue that you were getting shut down, it was like, "Oh my
oh
gosh,
yeah,
if there was an attorney there, they
yeah,
could probably argue this for him and get this done because they would
yeah.
know how to argue it." And so
Well,
it's like,
and it wasn't.
it's
That's
scary.
another one that a lot of people didn't quite catch. It's not so much, man. I mean, because a lot of it, man. I mean, I was making, because first off, I was getting arguments from my lawyers sometimes, right? But I mean, the thing is okay, I'm making the right arguments, but the problem is it doesn't matter, right? Just like it wouldn't have mattered if my lawyers went up there and did it. If the cameras weren't there, and my lawyers had done it. No, I've watched my lawyers bring up good arguments, solid legal arguments, right? And get shut down by Judge Jones, and him just to be like, nope, nope. Kind of like he did with Lauren with the whole gag order. And man, don't get me wrong, Lauren, I definitely am, you're in the response this time as no, it is not okay, nor is it, nor is it, was it, uh, nor does it abide by the Constitution to take away your First Amendment rights. Because they did do that to Lauren for 3 years, and no, they had no right to do it. And I remember before I went down there, because I knew I was going to argue to have the gag order, lifted, and I told her I was like, I'm going to go get your rights back, and she didn't believe me at the time, but man, and I actually did get denied the first time when I went and tried to argue it or tennis with with the judge, right? Because man, he caught wind of it or whatever, so I didn't actually get to file the motion, but I argued it in front of him, right? And man, he shut me down and said no, right? And this is a thing that he brings up in the gag order about how it got taken away, vacated. He doesn't tell the story right on that one either. It didn't get vacated because of the trial. It got vacated because one day I go in there, and this is after I just heard Dennis Ward violating the gag order on the radio, right? So I had the recording of this, right? Well, it so happens I come in the court that morning, and sure enough, the prosecutors are like, "Oh, well, we have some housekeeping to do. We've been getting phone calls that Mr. Tucker's been talking to the press, and he's been talking about the case, and he's been violating the gag order. They were trying to get me thrown back in jail, basically, right?" And but here's the problem: is they had no proof, right? They've been getting these phone calls, and I know exactly where they got them from too. By the way, I'm pretty sure they came from this guy named Ted Lund. Y'all probably saw him on Law and Crime. I think they finally took his video down, but Ted Lund was a reporter down in Key West, and he does this interview right on the courthouse lawn where he's talking about how they have DNA on, DNA against me. They have, it's my DNA on the mask, my DNA on the knife, and that, they had witnesses that could place me at the scene, and they had all this evidence against me, right? And this is what
Is he
he's
the one
telling.
with the chickens in the background?
I don't know. They might be, but he has glasses and he has like a kind of a roughshod beard, but he was a reporter for the Key West Citizen, right?
Okay. I think
And
because he
he
didn't
was
like you.
no, he didn't like me. I mean, and don't get me wrong. He actually told me once coming out of the courtroom, he said it would be better for me and better for the case if I got convicted. And I'm like, okay,
Why?
I don't get your logic. And man, and he's like, well, you get more support, and you get more man assistance for your lawsuits and all. Okay, first off, you, yeah, you kind of got it backwards here, homie. It's like, okay, yes, man, do I plan on suing them? You're damn right I do. But at the same time, no, what means more to me than any of that is, man, no, I want this to be over. I want my life back. You know what I
Right.
mean? More than anything, as far as man, all this goes. Now, don't get me wrong. I promised Lauren a long time ago. When we were still just friends, we weren't even boyfriend girlfriend yet. But no, I promised her that, man, because okay, as my friend, I knew she was spending a lot of money on the case, and I was like, and I didn't like taking money, at all. It's like, but at the same time, it's like I knew I needed help. At that point, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it on my own, right? It wasn't, I needed help, and that's not an easy thing for me to admit. First off, but and but Lauren, one of the things like when I told her no originally, she didn't listen to me. She goes ahead and gets an attorney and man freaking sends him over, which I'm glad she did because when he showed up, I hadn't had an attorney, man, talk to me in like 2.5 months. I'm still sitting there with no attorney. I have no idea what's going on. I'm missing hearings, stuff like that. Missing kind of important things, right? Because I don't have an attorney. So anyway, and yeah, a guy named Robert. I remember him coming in, and he looked like Joey Soprano, guy from New York. Somebody comes in. Who in Key West is walking in with a 3-piece suit on? It's like it doesn't usually work that way. But a big guy, whatever. And I was in the crazy dorm at the time. That's what we called it, G dorm. They call that the special needs dorm. But I got to admit, man, it's probably if I have to have a favorite time in jail, um, the guys in there were kind of interesting, at least. I mean, I met John the Baptist, I met Zeus, I met all
Nice.
kinds of funky people up in there. The urinator, that was another one. But yeah, so I mean, at least they were entertaining. They kept me from losing my mind for a little while. But yeah. So okay, back to this whole gag order because I guess we should probably deal with that, man. What's
Probably.
going on with that? Sorry guys, I've been up all night working on this response, and it's just it's this is a big deal. Lauren and I have been through this before, and it doesn't seem like it, but man, let me tell you, when somebody takes away your right to speak, it's a big deal. It really is. When especially when you're sitting there and you're biting your tongue and they're in the wrong, and man, you can't say anything. Like I couldn't even go out there and say I was innocent anymore, right? I didn't even have that privilege anymore, which is why, man, don't get me wrong. I'm an asshole this way. I'll say that this way because yes, man. I mean, what? Okay, the very next, they were making fun of me. I think again on Long Crime, man, about the not guilty T-shirt, right? Well, the not guilty T-shirt came about because of the gag order. Because the very next interview we did with the New York Post, I can't talk about the case, but I sure as hell had my not guilty T-shirt on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, well, you can't, look, you can't, man, start telling me what kind of clothes I can wear. And man, who, just says not guilty. You don't know what I'm saying,
Yep. Who's
so,
not guilty? My dog's not guilty.
oh, don't
Like,
get me wrong. The
you know,
prosecution did try and, they tried to put up a fight over that one. It's like, okay, look, y'all can keep on trying to shut my mouth and you can keep on trying to shove me into that box, that life sentence box, but man, no, I am going to fight you the entire way. That's the way that's going to go. I mean, look, Lauren and I are both from Philly and man, it's like, no, I'm not about to lay down for some bully. It's like, you think you're going to, man, make me do this. She knows better than anybody. If you think you're going to make me do something, oh, you are dead wrong. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. I will fight you tooth and nail the entire time. And, it's like, and when, many people have said, man, this particular time, man, I mean, look, and I agree with this 999 times out of 1,000, picking me would have been the right idea. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, when you look at it, just the, the outside thing, right? I mean, okay, at the time, I'm a nobody basically, right? I'm doing hurricane cleanup. It's not like I have a lot of money. I have money, but not a lot. And I am staying at the homeless shelter. A lot of people mistake that one though, because man, it's like everybody forgets there was a hurricane that just came through there, right? There's a lot of people who were homeless at the time. It's not like man, you're just homeless, to be homeless. You know what I mean, or
right.
whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that either, because I think homeless shaming is a big problem, and I don't like it. That's why when Mr. Mansfield tried to do that with me on the stand, and he's like, "Oh, it was a flop house," and this. It's like I wouldn't categorize it like that. That's fairly derogatory. I mean, it's like it's like homeless shaming is not a good thing either. Um, I sometimes I have to remind people because I used to do a lot of advocacy work for homeless too, and you know, here's the thing: is okay. Everybody forgets this country was founded by homeless people. The expansion out west, homeless people. That's why they called them homesteaders. You know, and every cowboy movie you ever see, guess what? Homeless guy riding around the west, saving the day. You know what I'm saying?
Sleeping outside on the
So it's
ground.
like, I mean, it didn't really become derogatory until recent history. I mean, people used to actually, they have places in their barn and whatever, man, that they would, let homeless people come in and do some work for them or whatever, that kind of stuff. But it wasn't like it is now. Let's see, hold on. Yep. No, I mean, no, and Becca, I'm with you on that. But man, some people look. I mean, homeless is actually for some people, it's a choice.
Right.
Nothing bad happened to them. I mean, they're just gypsy nomad type people. I mean, it's there's nothing wrong with that either. Nothing in this look in this country so far. I mean, they made a lot of laws against being homeless, but there is no law that says you have to have a home. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've spent years on the road. I mean, I hiked back and forth the country. I don't know, a few times. Because yeah, it was fun to do. I actually enjoyed it out there. I got out. I got to see a lot of the country, a lot like other people don't. I mean, when you drive through a town, it's not the same as when you're hiking. And I can stay there for as long as I want, or I can leave, man, as quick as I want, whatever. If I'm having fun, I stay there for a little while. You know.
Right. And I remember like listening to you and even kind of I hate to say it, but Travis, the
Yeah.
places you all had been, I was like,
Yeah.
that is how did you do it? One,
Yeah.
and then you guys just did it too. I mean, and I was like, I was kind of jealous. Like that is says a
Yeah.
lot about you guys to just you just went. If you wanted to go, you went.
Oh yeah.
And
No. I mean, I kind
and
of grew up that way. My mom was.
I don't know.
My
It's
family
like I love it.
like that.
I'm not. That's not me.
Yeah.
I wish it
No,
was
no, there's
sometimes.
people. No, there's
But
people like that. I mean, look where. Okay, even the neighborhood that I went to high school in Philly, right? No, the people in that neighborhood, most of them never leave. They will be. They grow up in that neighborhood. They'll marry somebody from that neighborhood, and they'll die in that neighborhood, probably in their parents' house. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just. It was the last. Okay, well, that wasn't the last neighborhood I lived in. The last neighborhood I lived in was West Philly. But man, okay, but Roxborough, man, was where I went to high school, right? And yeah, it was kind of a blue collar, uh, lower middle class kind of neighborhood, I guess. It's like I said, blue collar. So it's like a lot of roofers. Roofing was kind of the big thing there. But the thing is okay. So but the people who live there, I mean, that's and look, they like it like that. I mean, there's people who love their neighborhood. They never want to leave, and it's like okay, that's fine for y'all,
yeah,
But for me, there's a big old world out there with all kinds of things in it, and experiences in it, and I like seeing how other people live. I like, I literally, I like, because hiking across country, man, made me realize that it's my favorite way of travel, actually. Because okay, any other way, look, you either drive through it and you maybe stop at a restaurant, something like that, you know. But when you actually get to meet the people and you get to eat the food they eat and see what they like to do and what kind of stuff they what they're into, it's interesting. It's not even just interesting; it's fun. It's like I enjoy new things and I enjoy learning from people and it's like yeah, I wouldn't sell those experiences off. I mean,
right.
Lauren and I talked about it many times. As far as people and their ideas of money too. That's another one. Because okay, my ideas of money are a little bit different, and it's like it's I don't need that much. I mean, I love the art of making it. I do. I got to admit that. I'm kind of an addict about making it. But it's because I like the things you do to make it right. because I've kind of got that whole entrepreneur thing, whatever. But the thing is, but as far as actual necessities and needs, I would much rather spend money on experiences than on stuff. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
okay, I'll go travel the world, spend my money. That's how I do my shit. It's like okay, I still because yep, and not only okay, I can't say they're always more happy than rich people because I'm going to DG's comment there because I'm kind of catching them out of my
Yeah.
corner of my eye here, and I wouldn't say they're always happier. I mean, I actually find that look, you find pretty much the same as people who live in houses. You'll find, look, you're going to find jerks who are homeless. You're going to find jerks who live in a house.
Yep.
Rich, poor, don't matter. You find men, good, bad of all of them, right? But one of the things I did notice a lot with homeless people, and I mean, I think it's because they have nothing a lot of times, right? Not always, but man, a lot of times, right? Or at least have next to nothing, right? Um, they are some of the most giving people that I've ever met, right? And I mean, people don't understand this. And man, maybe And here's the thing: is I'll tell you this: if you ever run into somebody who's homeless and they've got a bottle of whatever, right, and they hand that to you, and they're handing it to you so you can take a sip off of it, you know what I'm saying, and give it back to them, and man, thank them for it because look, to them it's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, they don't have much. And man, you got to think about this. They don't have much. And they just offered you of what little they have. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's really insulting not to take it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, and don't do the whole, wiping the thing off, that kind of crap either. It's like, look, you can afford a little dirt, you'll be fine. The thing is like, no, it's just, look, they're just people, just like anybody else. But I'll tell you what, okay, if I have $1 million and I give you $10, what does that mean? Not much, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But if I haven't eaten in 3 days, I have a slice of pizza and I see that you're sitting over there and you're cold and you're hungry. And I give you half a man that piece of pizza.
Right.
How much does that mean? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? It's like you got to think about things like that. It's like this means a lot to this person, right? I mean, because look, I'll tell you right now, being hungry is not cool. I've been
No.
there, and it
Right.
sucks. You know what I'm saying? Um, but at the same time, it's like, and rich people are more ignorant than poor people. From my experiences, I live in South Florida. I know homeless people and rich people are close to homeless. Yeah, the one thing is the one thing I'll give you with that one, and actually Steve Jobs said this at one point. He said that the best ideas come from people who don't have money, right? And there's a good reason for that. You know what I mean? Because okay, the people who don't have money, yeah, they're trying to get money. They're trying, trying to man pull, to get, get someplace or whatever, right? They're trying to man, move up the ladder, I guess, or whatever. And and yeah, so they come up with the best ideas, you know what I mean? Because they're trying harder, whereas rich people who've already got it, they don't really need to come up with the ideas. They've already, they're already there.
Right.
Now that's not everybody. I mean, look, we can, can't stereotype everybody into the same categories, but man, but there are similarities. I mean, I did take sociology when I was in school, and man, I thought it was fascinating, so um,
And that's the other thing about you is, the other interview that we did, the first one, and you dropped, well, when I was in college and when I did this, I'm like,
hey,
nobody has ever said that about you.
no,
Nobody has
no.
ever
Most people
said,
that man, that was one of the okay. You want to talk about criticisms, man? I make about the prosecution, as far as things go. And Lawrence heard me say this more than once, and I think they're idiots for this, right? And same thing with the judge, same thing with the cops, all of them, because first off, they're arrogant as hell. I mean, so arrogant that they make this crucial mistake, right? And it is a crucial mistake. And I'll even give it to them right now. You can actually have it for free. This is advice. Yeah, when you're gonna, go ahead and prosecute somebody, or you're gonna go up against whoever, right? You might want to do your homework and actually look into the background. Look at
exactly.
who they are. Where they come from, what they do. Because let me tell you, if they had looked in my background at all, right? They probably would have figured out that I'm not the right person to do this with. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? No, I was going to be a problem for them no matter whether Lauren showed up or not.
Right.
Because I mean, it's like, I do have a fairly, uh, you know, I have a fairly decent education. A lot of people they mistake the ghetto slang and they mistake my mannerisms and stuff, and they think I'm not educated. Um, no, I'm actually fairly well educated. I did fairly well in school, um, but and always, I always kind of did, but and yeah, I was actually staying in school. My idea was to stay in, and I actually said this recently, and somebody somebody tried to hammer me over it in one of the was it in one of the comments on our channel, but because I told people, I was like, look, most people wouldn't understand that, man. My actual degree is in high school history. That's what my degree is in, and I was so I'm a history teacher, you know, but didn't plan on staying. I never planned on even working a day as a high school history teacher. That was not my plan. That was just a stepping stone to where I wanted to be. But no, I was going to stay in school, and I was staying in school for a second there to get my PhD. That was that's what I wanted. I wanted my doctorate, and I wanted it in the history of warfare. And the reason I wanted it in history of warfare is because my ultimate goal at that point was, okay, the military wanted me at one point really bad, right? And you know they were willing to kick down a lot of money, and they were willing to give me all these benefits, all this stuff. But the MEPS is what screwed me up, the medical, right? I had an accident when I was young, and they didn't think I was going to be able to wear the boots, and so the medical was what kept me out, right? But I mean, they were going to give me like a $20,000 signing bonus, and but they wanted me for military strategy. That's what they wanted me for, right? And so that's where, when you think about the case and where that goes, okay, military strategy is a little bit different than law, but not as much as you think, you know. But anyway, so I went back to school, and since I couldn't get in the military by joining the army, I went back to school, and I was working on getting my PhD, and then my whole idea was I was going to go in as a civilian contractor, which I liked even better because I'm not GI. I can actually quit, you
Right.
know. So the thing is, but I was going to go on as a civilian contractor and go back into military strategy. But unfortunately, I had some other things happen in my life, and I was a single dad, and somebody had to put food on the table. So I went from working on my PhD and going to Arizona State University, working on that. And I went from that to being an overnight janitor, if you can believe that one. Yeah, so I went to, but the thing is, and I'm sure many of you have been there. Any of you who are parents have probably had to deal with this. At some point in your parenting, maybe, I don't know. I know I did. It's just, man, it was like, okay, it came to a point where I couldn't go to school anymore. I had to go to work and put food on the table. I mean, that's the way it is. Sometimes, man, you got to put your dreams on hold, whatever it is. I mean, kids are always first, right?
Right.
So, and look, I love my son. He was well worth it. It's like, and, and I don't complain about, man, how things worked out. It's just, and really, yeah, I mean, but if these guys had ever looked at it, looked at any of that, right? Any of where I came from and, what I'd been through before, yeah, they know again, you know, I still think that way. When I think about, man, when I think about the courtroom, or I think about law, or think about any of this, right? Anything that's been happening, you can ask Lauren. I think about every little tiny detail, and I think about it way to the point where I've made up 20 different alternate plans, besides the plan that I'm rolling with, you know, because, man, warfare is like that. Warfare, very similar though in some ways. You can't afford to lose. Right? Losing war sucks. You
Right.
know, um, so I mean, can't afford to lose, and so you got high stakes, and the big difference though is, okay, is, first off, with war, and one of the reasons I actually, and here's the thing, it's just to let y'all know, I didn't go into it because I wasn't going into it because I like the idea of killing people or anything like that. It was exactly the opposite. it was like, okay, if I can use my mind and man, and I'm good at this, right? And I can use my mind for this, I can actually help save people. You see what I'm saying? If I can,
Right.
figure out how to do it better. You know what I mean? Um, like one of the philosophies I had is, and I wish our government took this more often. Is for me it was, yeah, look, I want as few of our guys to die, right? But I also want as few of them to die, right? Whatever we can get to where the least amount of people have to die to end this war, that's the best point we got to be at, right? Because I mean, really, a lot of people don't realize when you start a war, man, that it lasts over 100 years. I mean, think about it, man. We still got guys on the DMZ over there in Korea. We still got people. We still got people over there in Germany sitting there from World War II. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
Well,
you,
that's a whole nother thing you can go into because it's a
yeah,
money,
yeah. I mean, it's
it's a money making machine. So
yeah. I mean, well, no, war is definitely a money making machine. There's no doubt about it. Also, it's also what advances technology quite a bit. Um, but is that Wayne? Huh.
sorry, I was trying. They're wanting closed captioning. Do you mind if I
If
put
it's the
that
Wayne I'm
on?
thinking about, man, yeah, it's like, because I have some other friends, man. My friends have a tendency to trickle into man interviews
Oh,
sometimes. It's like, and I don't quite expect them. I one, my son, there was the one when I did the Friday night thing, and my son shows up. And
I was, yeah, I was listening to that.
and I've been meaning to call him, and all of a sudden, man, so.
Here he
Oh,
is.
can I read? Oh, can you read the motion for the gag order?
Yeah, I've
The
got
whole
it. Let
thing?
me pull it up
I mean, because
here.
it's kind of a lot of man whining and crying,
It's a
but I mean, you
lot
could
of
try it.
whining and crying. You have to,
All right, let me
read
see
it
what we
with
got.
your whiny voice
Well, I
because
actually did actually bring up another computer just so that man I could actually pull it up. Cause oh, this one kind of sucks.
that's not gonna work.
Let's see what we got here. Actually, I might be able to hold on. I might be able to clip it off on here.
I'm trying to make it.
Huh?
So I'm trying to make it so that
I think I can
it's
make it, man, so that I can actually
bigger
read
for
it.
these guys.
And
Okay.
let's see. Hold on. There we go. Now that's my
Ooh,
response.
that's
We don't want
better.
to go there quite yet. Let's see. Hold on. There we go. Gotta go to response again. Response again. Where's the hell is the gag word?
Well, that don't think that worked any
There.
better.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. It's gotta be over here. Okay, here we go. Got it. I moved it over to the folder where it's supposed to be. Okay, and let's see if we can move this over here. Get this out of here. This out of here. And can y'all see me still? Or is it in the
I've
way?
got you're no, you're on the bottom of my screen. I've
Okay.
got it pulled up,
Oh, you got
so
it pulled up. See, you're quicker than me.
I can't make it like fit the whole screen, but
Yeah.
I've got it there. So I don't know if you can see that.
Well, I mean, look, he sounds more like a girl, so maybe you should read it. I'm just saying.
All right, let me get a drink first. Don't be so sweet.
Shit. Oh
It's
man.
only tea, but it is
Good
afternoon
old
here.
man. Good old Dennis Ward. Yeah. Guy's
Yeah,
a former cop.
Lauren has a link, Becca. She said she wasn't dressed, but she can come in if she wants to.
And like I said, that turns into a whole different type of show.
All right, well, I will
Uh,
do my best. I'm a little nervous. Excuse me. All
okay.
right. Comes now Dennis Ford, Assistant State Attorney of the 16th Judicial Circuit of Florida, by and through the undersigned Assistant State Attorney, and requests this honorable court to reissue the previous protective order to prevent extrajudicial comments that was imposed on the state and the defense in light of the upcoming retrial of this matter. In support, the state submits prior, number one, excuse me. I emailed it to you, Lauren, because I will gladly hand this right over to you.
Oh, Lauren will read it, man. She'll do that with some enthusiasm, I would imagine.
Yep, she can come in. She
She
doesn't have
actually
to.
knows Dennis Ward a little bit, man. So she could actually, kind of mimic him, I guess.
Do you have it, Lauren? I can resend it if you don't have it.
Oh, peer pressure. Ain't that the truth?
Yep.
Yeah, the
Yep.
state is definitely sus, man. You ain't kidding it, man. It ain't sus, man.
Becca Lynn.
Look,
Don't
man.
fantasize about
Here's
it.
here's one of the things that's I say I've said more than once, but man, one of the differences between me and them is, man, look, if I say you did something, if I accuse you of something, you better be guaranteed I got evidence to back it up. You know, I'm not gonna, man. I'm not falsely accusing anybody.
Right.
So if I, it may sound crazy if I say, the judge is dirty, or if I say, man, this person did that or whatever. It may sound crazy, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't say those things unless I have evidence.
Right.
You know,
Well, and that's
so,
becoming apparent. So watching you from the trial to watching you to now,
yeah, a little
you
different.
are it's very different. It's like
Yeah.
you've either snowed all of us, there's
Yeah,
one,
you know what's
or
funny? My
you
friend
don't
Reggie was like that. I met him in jail, and he said he probably gave me one of the better compliments, man, when I was in there. But he was on his way. He got a short sentence. And he did. I don't remember even what he got convicted for. But the thing is he was on his way out, and he was on his way to prison for like a couple months. It wasn't even because he got like one of them year a day things or whatever. I don't remember how it worked. But so he goes, man. He's going off, and we've been hanging out, whatever. And he goes to me. He's like Tucker, you are either the best liar I've ever met, or you really are innocent. And he's like, I'm praying for you, man. And he gives me a big hug, man, heads off, right? And and man, at the time, I mean, that was a huge compliment. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, he's being real with me. He didn't know. I mean, because look, in jail, people say all kinds of things. He didn't know,
right,
right? But I mean, but the thing is he had come to know my character well enough that that yes, he was willing to accept that, man. That I could be telling the truth, right? And that was a big deal for me back then. And it still is. I mean, like I still haven't gotten used to the fact, that like I was really hating being called a murderer. I was really hating it. I got to a point where I was sick of it. It's like I am sick of being the bad guy. I'm sick of being called a murderer. I'm sick of the anklet. I'm sick of, man, the whole thing, right? And but it's hard because, man, look, I get how people think, and I get what they think, and it's like and I try not to judge people too much on it. It's like but at the same time, it's hard. Like even when we first met, it was hard. It's like sometimes I'll see something, a comment somebody makes, and just like you, I always actually I use you as a focal point, man, on this whenever I see new videos that I haven't seen or anything like that. Right? I have to remember time period matters. What I'm saying? Like, okay, there was a big difference between the way a lot of people perceived me in the beginning to the way they perceive me in the end.
yes,
And the way they perceive me now. It's like, and it's changed. And I have to give people the opportunity to make that change. What I'm saying? They don't know who I am. They don't know my story. They don't know, they don't know what I've had to go through. They don't know any of it. Right. And it's
right,
like, but it is hard. I mean, look, I'm human too. It's hard.
right.
And but I try. And I will say though, oh, she's ready to read it.
Yep, she's ready to roll.
Come on,
Oh,
baby. Do us
Do
good.
you have it?
Let's
Are
hear what
you
you got
looking
to
at
say.
my screen,
I'm
Lauren, or
looking
do
at
you?
your screen. Yes.
Okay, I'll start up at the beginning. So I will
Do I have to start
move
from
it
the
down.
beginning?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Hear ye, hear ye. Comes now Dennis Swart, Assistant State Attorney of the 16th Judicial Circuit of Florida, by and through the undersigned
Yeah, sounds
Assistant
almost too
State
official.
Attorney, and request this honorable court to reissue the previous protective order to prevent extrajudicial comments that was imposed on the state and the defense in light of the upcoming retrial in this matter. In support, the state submits: one, prior to the first trial of this, of course, my birds start yelling, right?
Felicia.
Because they know. They know
Prior
this.
to the first trial of this matter, and after a full evidentiary hearing, the Honorable Circuit Court Judge Jones issued a protective order to prevent extrajudicial comments, and thereafter lifted it once the trial commenced. 2. Upon the announcement of a mistrial, the state requested the court to reissue the protective order on the basis that the defendant had been posting videos, conducting interviews, and making various slanderous statements on social media. The court at that time did not move forward on the or tennis motion made by the state, but indicated it would look into the matter if the appropriate motion was filed. 3.
Forgot to mention that Mansfield was crying about, man, death threats, man, on his
That's right.
phone.
Yep.
And somehow, man, I'm not saying I know who did it, but I know who did it.
Yes, that was so pathetic at the end of that. At
Like,
the end
man,
of your
look,
mistrial,
man,
I'm like, cry me a river, Mansfield,
I'll
because
tell you, man, Baby Huey all day.
yeah,
Baby
who in that
Huey.
room hasn't received a death threat? Please. And I'd
Oh, I
like
mean,
to-
look, I'm not even trying to hear it. You've been calling me a
Right.
murderer for, man, how long now? You don't think I get my fair share of haters?
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
I was glad that Jones did say.
I think Jones
I
saw the
get
writing
him.
on the wall.
He's like, I get him too. So too bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Lauren.
No, it's okay. 3. Since the announcement of the mistrial, the defendant has continued to post statements, not only about the facts of this case, how dare you, and the activities in the first trial, but also disparaging statements about the state attorney's office, MCSO,
I think that's when we were talking about the cheese under Mansfield's belly.
maybe.
That was gross. I didn't bring that up, though. Somebody else
You
brought that
just
up.
did. The previous
No.
presiding judge and the prosecutors that conducted the trial. 4. More recently, the defendant has started posting on his YouTube channel, Free Franklin Tucker. The defendant has indicated he will be giving weekly updates on the status of his retrial and will answer questions posed.
Yep.
To date, he has 4 live updates wherein he discusses the facts of the case.
So you can't count either. I have 5 of them.
I was like, he must be talking about everything you've done on EU. I was like, oh yeah, I slid under the radar.
But he doesn't know about the tampered with evidence. That doesn't exist, even though a third of the videos on there are the tampered with evidence.
Right.
Oh, he's talking about your live updates. I was thinking the interviews that he did. Yeah, because you're just number 5.
He's talking about the live up. He's talking about the Friday
Got
night.
it. I read that wrong. Sorry.
We're gonna make a special tonight, though. It's gonna be all about Dennis Ward. And matter of fact, and you know what else I'm gonna do just to make him real happy? I'm gonna put up that picture of him in the tutu.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, his various legal arguments, he attacks the state, the witnesses, and makes accusations of witness tampering, perjury, and prosecutorial misconduct. He also comments on how he can say anything he wants in the trial because he is not a licensed attorney and the court is not able to discipline him. How dare you?
Yeah.
The defendant has mentioned in a new website he will be creating, which will have videos related to the case and documents that were not previously uploaded on his Free Franklin Tucker website. The same website, which was the subject of the first protective order. Additionally, according to the defendant, this website will also have an online store with shirts and hats people can purchase to help offset.
He hasn't seen his designs yet.
Legal fees. Apparently, he is not, or this would have a different tone.
I've seen him.
In addition to his broadcasts on YouTube channel, the defendant has also sat for interviews on other YouTube subscriber channels.
Oh no.
Yep.
You're in trouble now.
Yep.
You're an accessory.
Uh-oh. Apparently, this whole time.
Hey, what's up, Wayne? It's nice to see you here, man. And man, Wayne is from Great Britain, so man, he definitely, he's like what, you're 5 or 6 hours ahead of us. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you. If he's 5 or 6 hours ahead of me or you.
I'm not sure. I would probably say you, actually, thinking about it.
George, I'm not wearing orange.
But anyway, it's good to see you, Wayne, man. Straight up, I mean, Wayne's been look, he's been on my side for a while now. Before I went to trial, he's one of the I have friends, man, that actually didn't, hang by me, and some I even made, man, new friends, even when I was going through this. So he's a good guy.
All right,
anyway,
5 hours.
Please continue.
Yes.
In addition to his broadcasts on his YouTube channel, the defendant has also sat for interviews on other YouTube subscriber channels, just like he does in his live broadcasts. In the interview that he that is available for viewing, the defendant discusses the criminal case, the upcoming trial, attacks the state attorney's office, Monroe County Sheriff's Office, and continues to lodge his accusations of misconduct. The defendant has indicated he will continue to sit for interviews that will thereafter be posted online. In the defendant's last 2 live broadcasts, the defendant announced that his wife, Lauren Janai, a non-party, will be conducting a
Yeah,
live
make sure you say you're a non-party.
will be conducting a live interview with victim witness Todd O'Quinn and invited people to watch the broadcast on the defendant's YouTube channel. Despite the fact that there is still a no contact order that does not involve me, in effect preventing the defendant from having direct or indirect contact through a third party with Todd O'Quinn. This interview is expected to take place in the near future. It should also be noted that
Thank you, Stormy. I appreciate that.
It is also noted that during the last live updates, the defendant discusses the previous gag order and the likelihood that the state will seek reinstatement of the order in light of the content of his live broadcast and the content he will be uploading. The defendant goes as far as to boast that he has a response ready, prepared if the state seeks the gag order again. Most of the content of the defendant's live videos.
I think I actually dared him to go ahead and file it. I think is what it was.
I think you did.
Most of the content of the defendant's live videos on his YouTube channel is the reason
There's a reason I did that.
Protective order was issued. This new website the defendant indicated he will have within the next week, in all likelihood, will contain similar material and content which will only serve to taint any potential juror with his prejudicial pretrial publicity. All of the defendant's social media activity pertaining to the criminal case, whether on his own YouTube channel or others, or his Facebook posts, have already created a serious threat to the administration of justice.
Yeah, that's because, everybody's watching me. They're
Right?
not watching Law and Crime, and they're not watching, Court TV and all the, however many thousand videos there are out there.
Yep.
No, they're just watching my channel.
Well, other YouTube channels too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's the few of us, man, that are, hanging around doing this stuff.
Right.
Although I got to give it to DD, man. He does all right.
Yeah,
he does okay. And look, man, look, all that garbage, and here's the problem he has. And man, and yeah, Mr. Ward, it's coming. I mean, I got the response coming, but here it is, man, no, you don't get to bitch about any of that stuff because, yeah, if it's, man, widely available to the public and it's already out there, I'm allowed to talk about it all day. Even if we had the gag order right now, you wouldn't be on the right foot,
Right.
And not only that, I can say disparaging remarks all I want. Now the judge can try and ask me to act professionally about it. And here's the thing. I would act professionally about it. I give you those professional courtesies if you were being a professional about this. If you weren't trying to set me up for a homicide and have me go to prison for life by lying to the jury, which I will say you did all day because you did it live in front of however many million people, So yeah, I can say that, and yeah, as far as the whole slander thing, we've discussed this earlier. Apparently he doesn't know the legal definition of slander, which means I would have to be lying. And you can ask Lauren about this one because Penny Phelps found this out when she tried to sue us. Yeah, I'm not lying and I'm offering my opinions. Well, guess what? No slander, no defamation of character. Now, you calling me a murderer, that is defamation of character all day. Now, unfortunately, I can't sue you for that, but there are other things I can sue you for because guess what? Yeah, I haven't forgotten that we've already beat you in civil trial already. Well, not trial, but civil case already too. Matter of fact, it was the fastest I've ever seen an appellate court reverse their own decision. Was in that case because Mr. Ward, it's not surprisingly, was arguing for the right to destroy evidence. That's what he wanted the court to grant him was, man, that they could go ahead and forego getting Paula's testimony preserved because we weren't going to be able to sue them anyway because he has prosecutorial immunity. And well, while Mr. Ward again, you are a lawyer and I am not, but man, I do know enough to know that, man, prosecutorial immunity does not extend to everything. There are things you can still be sued for, and rightfully so. The court knew that too and sided with us. And not only did they side with us, yeah, I mean, because y'all had, what is it, the chief attorney general for the state of Florida, which would be the person who's right below the attorney general for the state, right? So, supposedly the baddest attorneys in the state, right? You got, one of the big bad boys who's leading the charge, and the best you could come up with was that. And the appellate court, after we filed our response to their appeal, literally reversed their own decision in a day. I've never seen that happen.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
That tells you how bad this case is.
Yep.
Right. And that tells him that, guess what, Mr. Ward, you're going to be broke by the time I'm done with you. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. You're never going to get elected again because everybody's going to know how dirty you are. You're going to be lucky if you don't go to prison, and I'm going to take you for everything you have. How about that? Is that disparaging enough for you? Straight up. No, I'm not playing with him, man. It's like, look, yeah, Judge Jones was pretty bad. But in the end, this jackoff is the one that filed the charges against me, knew I was innocent, still did it, and has been prosecuting me ever since.
And is bringing back the very people who caused you all this harm.
Oh yeah, because he's
personal.
Because man, he is. What did he say? His his office is again no, there's no more ethical or whatever bullshit he was throwing, man, when he threw out his press release. Oh, wait a second, his press release about coming after me again for a new trial. You know what I'm saying? Where he all of a sudden, he was all about, it was for the victims, it was for Paula, it was for Matt. I was the only person who ever mentioned the victims during the entire trial.
Yep.
And again, how retarded was that I have to sit up there and I have to argue victims' rights, so that they can testify, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm arguing against a judge and the state who don't want to allow the victim to testify. It's like, when have you ever seen a defendant? Name me another case where you saw a defendant get up there and argue for the victim's rights to testify.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, that should have told everybody right then and there, man, there's something wrong here, because, man, I don't think I've ever seen another case like that, where the defendant, the guy who's actually accused of being a killer, gets up there and, well, I really want the victim to testify.
Yeah, I really, really, really want her to testify. Like, why would they not just go, okay, perfect?
And no, they just think, look, I see with some of the stuff that's coming on here, but here's the thing, and they were horrible to Paula. And man, I'm never going to forget that. Don't ever, you wonder why I'm getting so agitated and so angry so quickly, is I do remember how they treated her. And I do remember what it was like being there, arguing that. And I remember, man, oh my God, because, man, it's like, you guys disgust me, is basically what it is.
I don't remember if it was Jones or Mansfield, but one of them said, isn't she supposed to have already been dead by now?
That would be Jones. And, man,
I was like,
that was the judge.
Bad. That was
actually, don't get me wrong, there was a federal judge who said that, man, yes, the case should have been a mistrial right there. Right, that, man, especially when the judge not only made that remark, but the bigger one was when he said that, man, even if I got a doctor's note for Paula, I'm saying that he wasn't going to make accommodations for the victim. And it's like, okay, we're not talking about a vacation here. We're talking about somebody who's going to die.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
cut you off. We're talking about somebody, man, who, is a major witness. Yeah. We're going to end up with a supplemental motion probably, but you know what? Good. Let them cry. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? They can go ahead and cry to the judge. Look, the judge still has to, man, consider my last response. And he has to consider whether or not he's going to go ahead and dismiss this case based on the fact that they can't be honest. How the hell can you prosecute somebody if you can't be honest?
Yep.
What, the public's just going to be like, okay, well, we know they're lying, but, let's send a guy to prison anyway. It's like, come on, and man, but Ward is arrogant enough to think he can get away with it. He really is. I have learned a few things about him, even though haven't learned shit about me. I have, man, taken my time to learn all kinds of things about them, because I, again, going back to the whole war thing is, know your enemy, You know, I mean, look, if these people were trying to kill you, you better, man, learn everything you can about it, you know?
I really think my opinion only uh, is that they think you're that you were a dumb, homeless
Yep. All day,
druggie, and that
all day.
Lauren just got lucky,
No, and Lauren, no, Lauren, man, has actually just,
and that's
she's
just not
been duped.
true.
She's been duped by, man, my superior good looks and my
Yeah,
my charm and all that other stuff. It's like,
yeah, but she just got lucky with the CrossFit thing. That just
oh
was
yeah, no,
that came
she's as
into
much
the
of an
thing.
idiot as I am, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, no, she
and
definitely
you
is.
you guys
So
just got lucky, and you don't. But you guys just listening to you guys, and the more and more and more, you are so smart, and like you guys are amazing.
well, I
And
mean, yeah.
I'm just glad that that your first trial, if you had to have one, went the way it did, so that we all could learn all of this.
Well, and man, and I'm happy in some ways because look, I mean, Lauren and I did this. I mean, we've had different allies over the years, but you know, we've never had the type of support that we have now. We wanted it way back in the beginning, but it was going to take all this to get there. I guess it really was because I remember one of the things I realized when I realized they were going to keep prosecuting me is I was like, okay, nobody's going to believe me. Straight up, nobody's going to believe me. It's like, I mean, everybody, look, as soon as you get arrested, everybody thinks you did it, right?
Yeah,
And I'm, again, I'm not an idiot. I mean, I know that, man, okay, well, nobody's going to believe me. How the hell am I, what the hell am I going to do here? Um, so, so yeah. And I mean, Lauren helped me with some of those answers, and Lauren helped me look, I used to say, um, look, you put Lauren and I together, and man, we were unstoppable in the beginning. Straight up, we were straight up unstoppable. And man, we literally told these guys what we were going to do on the phone, which everybody, again, our lawyers would tell us, you're retarded, man, for talking on the phone, all that other stuff. And no, I don't really care. You can go ahead and know what I'm going to do, right? Because you
right.
can't stop it. It's the truth. And the truth, man. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and use that and ram it right up your ass. You know, and because these guys,
Okay,
they're
Lauren.
not that smart. They think they are, but they're really not. And they're so arrogant. And that's like one of the biggest mistakes they make is they're so arrogant that they think that, man, nobody could touch them. That they're untouchable. That they can get away with anything. And you know what? The sad part is if they ever actually looked at the criminals that they bust, a lot of them, man, get that same attitude, right? They think they're untouchable, man. They've been doing it for however long. They've been getting away with it. There's no way I could ever get busted, right? Well, guess what? No, you make one mistake, you get too arrogant and you get sloppy, and all of a sudden, man, you're leaving tracks everywhere, and their tracks were wide and easy to follow. It's like, I mean, these guys were blatant about it. So it's like, and that's why that's where it becomes frustrating for Lauren and I, is because we're sitting there, and this is blatant, right? They're being blatant about it. It's like, okay, who doesn't, man, do a forensic search on a vehicle used in a homicide and doesn't impound it and lets it, man, just disappear?
Right.
You know what I mean? What cop shop does that? I've never seen one. I don't think.
Because all the answers are in that truck. Like you
Yeah.
said, if your
No, I
DNA is
mean,
not
yeah,
there, then
yeah.
you're not there.
Well, and here's the thing: put two and two together with that one. Okay, if hey, I'll talk to you later, baby. Thing is no, think about it this way. Okay, the tapes from, man, the Tom Thumb, they come up missing. They got the wrong date. Then they don't have that one. Then they don't have the one on Pitcher's phone. Okay, so that's evidence that could have proven me innocent. Okay, same thing with that truck. What I'm saying, if they don't find my DNA in that truck, and I was supposed to have been in it that night, it's like, okay, well, that's kind of a big deal. And then what even bigger deal is what happens if they find some of the victim's DNA inside that truck? What I'm saying? Well, then that kind of ruins the whole innocent getaway driver kind of crap. What I'm saying? So it's like, these people, man, I mean, if you go down the, people like, okay, I remember Vinnie Politan asked me one time, he's like, he's like, okay, well, if it was me, I'd be thinking about alibis, and, I'd be thinking about, where I was and all this other stuff. But here's the problem with that is, yeah, I did, but the problem is that get rid of the evidence that, man, proves it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, when I was talking about the evidence tampering in my last response, was it not even passable? They got the wrong date. More shades.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm with you on that one, DD. Straight up, I'm with you on that all day. That was not accidental.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Neither was the fact that, the footage, okay, the one camera from the CVS that actually points to the treehouse from the drive-through. Oh, well, that one was malfunctioning that night.
Isn't
You
that
know what I'm saying?
convenient?
So they didn't get the tape from that. Oh, by the way, and the person who collected both of those, Danielle Malone. Good old man, Danielle Malone. But yeah, the same person who actually lied in the affidavit, to get me arrested in the first place, and get me indicted and all that other stuff. So it's like, no, and see, this is okay. You know what, Gabby, you are absolutely correct. And this is one thing, Lauren, I used to say this to her even when I was in jail. I was like, look, you can sit there and you can claim incompetent over and over and over again. But, again, eventually, no, nobody makes that many mistakes. You know what I'm saying? It's not, man, it's not incompetence. At that point, man, if you're making that many mistakes, then first off, you shouldn't be a cop.
Right.
Second off, man, if you're making that many mistakes, no, it becomes, okay, it becomes on purpose because you're making so many mistakes. So they could, they keep on using that excuse, the ignorance excuse, and the, oh, well, we just did a sloppy job and all this other stuff. No, it doesn't work that way. Eventually, man, enough mistakes becomes on purpose. And yeah, they like I said, Lauren and I could rack up 100 of them in the first night alone. It just, man, you don't do. I told you I was feeling bad for Mueller, right? Because, okay, this woman, and it's, again, she's one of the cops that, man, I don't think she did anything wrong, really. You know what I mean? Not all of them did something wrong, right? But okay, Mueller, she shows up at the scene, and then some other cops finally show up. But okay, they just leave her there by herself, and they haven't even checked the place to make sure that there's nobody there, right? That the killer's not still there. You know what I mean? So they leave her there by herself to secure the scene. And not only that, secure what ended up being an entire block, of worth of scene. So it's like, how are you going to leave a female officer, who couldn't even roll over Matt, so, I mean, she's not as big as, she's not that big, you know what I mean? And you're going to leave her there and not check to make sure that the assailants aren't still there.
Right.
I mean, that's your own people, that's people, that's your people, right? You're supposed to be worried about their safety, but no, they didn't care about that. They had other things to worry about. It's like, even that, it's like, and man, people may think I'm retarded for feeling bad for her, you know what I'm saying? But no, that's why I even told her when she said on the stand, I thought it was actually funny when she said that, because she's got a sense of humor. But she's, I asked her, okay, well, what would you do after that? And she's like, well, to be honest, the next thing I did was, help arrest you. And I was like, well, we're not going to hold that against you, But the thing is like, yeah, so it's like, look, she's a human being. And man, here's the thing is, I don't hate cops. I don't. Matter of fact, there's quite a few cops that are on my side down there, and, there's cops down there that, look, they know how dirty it is down there. And,
Which is sad.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I could show you the Todd said he saw the man. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's one. Yeah. The prosecution's going to have to deal with that one, but they're also going to have to deal with the fact that, was it? She definitely did plenty of damage with the evidence. Oh, you talk about Malone? Yeah, Malone definitely did.
And that was the other thing that Judge Jones said. And then I know we've got to finish up, but when you were bringing up the improper handling of the evidence,
right?
He said it didn't affect anything.
Right. He didn't know that though.
Mike, how do you know that?
No, he doesn't. I mean, that's the point. Because you got to remember, a lot of people just take whatever the judge says as like gospel, you know what I'm saying? Because he's supposed to know what he's doing, and we're
Right.
supposed to be able to trust judges, I guess, you know, and all that.
And they're supposed to be
Which
fair and
which
impartial
is
and
also why they're very
yeah,
dangerous when you know they're dirty. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, that guy was as dangerous as he gets for me. You know, and man, I mean, he was my number one concern rolling into that trial. It wasn't the prosecutors, right? Because man, he's going to let the prosecutors do what they do. And
right.
man, I'll tell you right now, you know, one of the things I've had a chance to think about is at the very end of the trial, right? And when Jones had to announce the mistrial, did you notice, man, that the way he did that and his mannerisms? He's like literally, you know, he was defeated.
He was
He,
defeated.
he felt defeated.
Absolutely. Yep.
And the reason he felt defeated is because, man, okay, he did everything he possibly could to help them, right? Everything he could. He knocked out all my witnesses except for me and Paula, right? Knocked them all out. Knocked
Well,
out
they
all the evidence
effectively
I had.
knocked, but they
Huh?
knocked Paula out too. They
Yeah, I mean,
effectively
well,
knocked
no, and
Paula
no,
out.
and that one, man, look, don't get me started on that one because, man, no, Paula, I believe her that she was drugged. I saw how she was acting. That wasn't how she was acting hours earlier. You know what I'm saying? Everything was fine when we tested out the system, and then we come back an hour later, and man, now she's doped out of her mind.
Yep.
You know, that didn't happen by accident.
Right.
You know, and the state is the one who insisted on having one of their investigators down there,
Yep.
right? So it's like, I mean, I can't. Again, I'm not going to make an accusation because
Right.
I don't have the evidence to do so. You know, but do I have a strong belief that that may have happened? Oh, you damn Skippy, I do.
Yep.
You know, and man, look, you know that I have a lot of problems with them, and man, you know, and no, I don't trust them. I don't trust. I don't trust Mansfield as far as I can blow him, much less throw him. You know, so it's like, you know, it's like no. You know, God, man, you know, start going down all the things that they've done, man, different things over the years. I remember when I first went back and listened to my, you know, the original IA interview, right? When IA, you know, Kara and I are in there telling IA what's wrong with the case and, you know, what's up, right? And we're giving them everything, right? Like literally giving them all this, you know, all this information, man, you know, about what's wrong, right? And did they go investigate it? Not really. You know what they did is they went ahead and tried to cover up, man, the holes that were there. Is what it is basically what it was. And they gave us some bones. There's no doubt about it. They gave us a few bones, you know, because they had to. There was too much, right? I mean, you know, if they came back and they said, "Oh, everything's fine," no, we had too much evidence of our own, man, you know, to say that. You know, Lauren and I were both good at that. Yeah, I do believe that, DD. I do. You know, I believe that all day. That didn't happen by accident. I just, again, you know, coincidences. I'm not a big believer. You know, I mean, sometimes they happen. You know,
Yep.
that's true, but but at the same time, no. When somebody's fine and they're supposed to do, you know, testify at court, and we go through all the trouble and set this up, and then as soon as we go to do it, now we have technical problems. You know, because now on her end it wasn't set up right. You know, and I had to walk the lady through it, and then you know, once we got through that, now Paula's doped out of her mind. You know,
Yep.
and I mean, I'd been down there 2 hours earlier. She was fine, and then we ran the tests. You know, about an hour before we did it, you know, just to make sure everything worked, and she was fine. But then we go to do it, and man, it was a train wreck. You know, and man, you talk about being scared. I'll tell you right now, you know, I thought I was going to watch Paula die on that screen. You know, meds was not the first thing that went through my mind. You know, I mean, I had talked to her nurses. I had talked to, you know, the people at the hospital. I knew she was not, she was not good at that point.
Right.
You know, I don't care what the judge said, you know, and that pissed me off even more. That's why, I mean, I said what I said when I did my JOA, when I had like a minute left, you know, and I was like, good. Cause man, here's the other thing is, yeah, I understand you get mad at me, you know, but don't take it out on Paula. You know what I'm saying? You know, because you did. And man, he tried to deny it. And I was like, no, you did. You know, it's like, you know, because look, it was obvious. You know, he was pissed off at me. And that's why he made the ruling he did, you know, and against the victim. You know, it's like, look, you can hate me all you want, you know, but that was uncalled for all day. That's why that one federal judge said that should have been a mistrial right there. You know, it's like just now based on the way you treated the victim, you know, because they do have victims' rights in Florida. You know, it's a constitution. It's part of their constitution. You know, and him treating a victim like that, you know, no.
It was bad. It was bad because and the thing that annoyed me is I don't even remember why. I think maybe just out of stupid curiosity, I went over to I, I was either Law and Crime or Court TV. I don't know. And just because I wanted to see what their chat was saying
Yep.
about and oh, when you were trying to calm Paula down, they were
Yeah.
like, "Look at him run. He's just trying to run that courtroom and he's trying to feed her answers." I'm like, "He can't feed her anything right now. Not
No.
even her name.
No, I was
She's
actually
not
scared to death,
anywhere."
is what I was. I was scared to death because, man, at first, like I said, I mean, I didn't know what was wrong with her. She was fine, and then all of a sudden, she's not. And man, it took me a second, because at first because okay, everything just kind of compounded, and yeah, yeah, and yeah, I did, and Becca was one of the first people I actually talked to during the trial, that I didn't know, right off the rip. And she's actually, she's ended up being a pretty good friend. It's just I've actually met I've met a lot of cool people, and it's hard for me sometimes because I'm not used to a lot of people. A lot of people didn't get that at the trial. My lifestyle is unfortunately I've grown accustomed to being a prisoner. And
Because you
you
still
know
are.
I know. I don't leave here. I'm saying I very, very rarely leave my apartment. And, that's why it was hard for me in some ways. Like, even like I try, like even the way I deal with people, right? I was criticized heavily for that. And it's like, but you got to remember, I'm not used to it anymore. I'm not used to dealing with, a lot of people. I'm not used to seeing a lot of people or talking to a lot of people. And sometimes, I come off as rude because of that. And it's like, and I know it's not their fault, for that perception. It's just, they don't really understand, that my life is a lot different than most people.
Right.
So it's like, it's just, and like the being on time thing when I was being late, it's like, I didn't have to be on time anywhere for 6 years, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, very rarely did I ever have to be someplace, man, and be there on time. Which I mean, it's not an excuse. I mean, I knew I needed to be there on time, and I literally was trying. It's just that, I'm just not used to it. It's like, going to court before that, I'd have to, pull up my laptop, man, on my lap and,
Right.
hit a button. I'm okay. Yeah. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that.
So
I really do.
the one that we watched in the first trial for Paula, that's the one that we'll see again, correct?
Yeah, okay. The one that you're going to see, as far as you'll see the preserved testimony. Now, I still disagree with the way the judge ruled on that too, because the way it was explained to me was the reason they were doing it separated like that, right? Because okay, our cases were separated out. You know what I'm saying? You had Roy Wilson's case, you had Travis's case, and you had mine, right? We separated them out. And that, because they were separated like that, everybody was going to get their chance. State was going to get their chance. Then each lawyer was going to get their chance. But the way my lawyers took it too, because they probably would have handled it differently if they'd known that the entire tape was going to be played. You see what I'm saying? It's like, they probably would have asked questions differently, asked different questions, that kind of thing. Because if you think it's going to be used one way and then it's used a different way, then it changes things. It definitely changes the types of questions you're going to ask, that kind of thing. Because now you have to account for what those other lawyers are going to ask. Because I mean, look, lawyers can twist things up as we can see. That's why
Yes.
that's why people got worried about me taking the stand. Now I wasn't worried at all. It's like I had already taken the stand once before, right? So this wasn't my first time doing it. And that guy, that was Phelps's. Okay, and again, in my opinion, he's a little weasel lawyer, right? He's a ambulance chaser, right? But this dude, no, everybody thought he was going to get up there, try and twist me up, all this other stuff, and I mean, he asked me maybe 15 questions total, ran, just ran, because man, I mean, you thought, man, my attitude towards Mansfield trying to bully me was bad. I mean, no, man, that was nothing compared to him. Oh, thank you, Gab. You always give me shit, but it's all good. I look, look, the shit I get for that, I appreciate it because man, you're actually doing it, trying to help me. You know what I'm saying? I get it, and it's like,
So Becca brought up when, and we couldn't understand her on our end. I don't know if you could understand Paula in the court when um, Becca says when Paula knew she could be heard loud and clear, she started telling Mansfield off. We could tell she was telling Mansfield off, but I couldn't understand
um, to be
what
honest,
she was saying.
we've thought about this because okay, people want to see a shirt with that, I guess, and the thing is, I can't remember offhand what what she actually said, man. Like, oh, believe me, I know it was bad. I just remember, I remember like Paula, yo, relax. You can't say that, whatever,
Yeah,
like, because she's
yeah,
thick, you got to remember she's doped out of her mind at that point, right? And she look, and man, what talk about heartbreaking was later, right? Okay, because later, she thought she let me down. She thought, man, that man, she blew everything, and that man, she thought she let me down, and it's like, and I kept on telling her, I was like, no, you did just fine, you did great, you know what I'm saying? It's like, look, even in the state you were in, you helped me, you know what I'm saying? It's don't think you let me down. Matter of fact, I mean, you've never let me down, so it's
right.
like, Paula's a tough one for me, and it'll always be a tough one for me. I wanted to win this while she was alive. You know what I'm saying? I did. I wanted to give her that satisfaction. I wanted us both to have that satisfaction. We had always talked about, man, we're gonna win this thing, and then, man, literally, I was gonna throw her up on my shoulders, and man, both walk out of there, middle fingers up, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or head down to the bar, right down the street, and man, just dance naked on the bar the rest of the night, um, you know, yeah, but but yeah, it's I miss her a lot.
I'm
Um,
sure. Yeah.
it's and I'm glad I got to see her. I mean, you guys got to realize. I mean, the first time I've seen her live and in person, was when I went down for trial. That's the first time I've seen her since that day at McDonald's. And it's like, Paula and I, we had a special relationship because it was like we were both victims, just in different ways. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I always thought she was retarded, man, for saying that, she wanted to apologize to me, and that she thought she owed me some kind of an apology and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, you didn't do this to me. You know what I'm saying? That's not how that went down. You don't owe me any apologies. And I literally said, that was actually the first words I said to her when we could talk. I was like, you're retarded, right? It's like, I was like, you don't owe me an apology for anything. You don't owe me a damn thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like, you know how brave you are, and it's like she could never understand that. It's like,
I
just
think
like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's like I told you, man, I pictured what happened to her. Because man, she is my friend, and because man, I know what happened to her. You know what I'm saying? And I could picture it because I mean, it's like I know, like I said, I know approximately Rory's size and what he looks like and all that. And I remember he tried threatening me in jail, stuff like that. There were a couple of incidences there, but the thing is, so the thing is, and Paula's small, Paula's tiny. And I could only imagine how horrible and how scary and how everything that was for her that night. And and that's why Mansfield, man, fucking, and again, you try and make light of that, and it's like, look, dude, he was touching on some touchy subjects there with me.
he
It's
knew
like,
it. He knew it.
and look, I knew he was going to, right,
Right.
and and he's trying to rattle me, and he's trying
Yep.
to,
He's trying to make you
trying to
mad.
get me to lose my shit, right.
Yep.
And the more he did that, like I told you, the more you try and get me, you think you're going to force me to do something or whatever, right? You notice all of a sudden that sarcasm just kept coming right back at him. It's like, man, that's all you're going to get from me. Is, literally, I know what you did. I know what you're doing now, and man, like when he started going into, when he started, oh, the big bad Bubba system, that's your story, and all this other stuff. And I was like, Mr. Mansfield, I'm not supposed to go into that. The judges told me that. But if you want to keep on asking me, I'll answer the question for you. And I'll tell you exactly how I know.
You go ahead and pick that door open and I will come on through.
Yeah, exactly. If that's where you want to go, I'm down. And man, actually, some people criticize me for that. And I'll take this criticism. I should have walked through that door at that point. You know what I'm saying? I should have just went right into it and been like, okay, fine. You want to know? I got you. Just like I did with Mastermind there, man, when Phelps, when I had to go on the stand there, Phelps didn't even, and you want to talk about punk. This lady, she's mostly responsible for this, right? She didn't even have the balls to look me in the eye when I went up and do my, when I went up to do my depo. She couldn't face me, and it's like I definitely sat there through hers. It's like, oh yeah, and it's like my lawyer at the time, he was worried, because he didn't know me very well, didn't know the case very well, and he sent me this thing about bad offensive drawbacks of pleading the fifth in a civil case. I was like, man, look, not only am I not going to plead the fifth, I can't wait to look her in the eye and tell her what's up, because I know what she did. It's not a matter of guessing. It's not a matter of, my opinion. I know what she did. But that is kind of one thing that came out there in that civil case is, for everybody else, and man, while I appreciate your opinions, right, for everybody else, it's an opinion as to whether I'm guilty or innocent, and I realize that. But you got to realize, for me, it's a fact, what I mean? So I am very strongly, not necessarily opinionated, but man, I'm very strong about, about that. And it's like, yes, it did start to get on my nerves when people were calling me a killer. It started, getting on my nerves when people call me a murderer, and, people tell me I'm trash and this, you really do, because it's funny. I was always one of those people that I never really cared what people thought of me. I mean, I didn't care what people thought. It's like, okay, I like my life. I like who I am. I don't really care what people think, But I'll tell you what, man, you get enough people, man, hammering you with that crap. And yeah, it gets old. It really does. And one thing that you all have done for me, and I really appreciate it, and I can't say thank you enough. I finally have people who look at me a different way, what I'm saying, and who are not saying those things, and who are, not only that, they're saying that, again, they believe I'm innocent, and they believe that, man, I didn't do this, and they're on my side. I haven't had that, this entire time, and it's like, it's hard for me sometimes because I'm not used to it, But at the same time, I do, don't ever think don't ever think I don't appreciate it. It's like, it takes, it's a lot, I know we talked about the whole going crazy thing, but it's a lot. Saw DNX and can you change my mind? That's your YouTube. Oh yeah, thank you, Gabby. And yeah, DNA expert meant a lot, and we knew that back in 2019. People have asked me, "Did you know what she was going to say?" Yeah, I know what she was going to say. Oh, I have a right to be opinionated. Thanks, man. Well, I mean, I do about certain things. I will say this. Oh, thank you, Christine. And actually, I should probably let you guys go. It's been over 2 hours. We've been going at this, and I got to get back to my response.
We do have to finish reading this, though.
Oh yeah,
we're almost done.
Okay.
When are they supposed to? Is there going to be a hearing on this?
Well, it's an emergency motion, so man, that the judge, he probably is going to give me a second man to put the response in. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's definitely going to want to hear my side of it. I'm sure. I think this guy is honest enough that's what he's going to want. Why, man? And he may even question why Mr. Mansfield thought this was an emergency. What I'm saying? I'm not Mr. Mansfield. Why Mr. Ward thought this was an emergency? Because I don't exactly see this as an emergency, right? The gag order, it's not exactly an emergency.
I don't understand it.
Yep. Yeah.
Because everything's out. Everything is.
Well, and that's the thing, is like, and that's kind of the point, and that's why that stuff doesn't violate the gag order, right? Because I mean, look, if it's out there and it's public, and man, people can see it and anywhere without ever even talking to me, right? Then it doesn't really matter. It's already out.
Yeah, yeah, Becca. The
Yeah,
death threats.
yeah, the death threats. Yeah, I still want to, look, I still
Nothing
want to
there.
hear, man, freaking those phone calls or see those messages, because man, it's funny. They make a lot of accusations, but again, how often do you ever see them bring evidence? It's like, you guys throw a lot of accusations around, but man, you know, it kind of helps when you actually have evidence.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
and I think he just thought, "Well, I'll just say this to the judge, and he'll be
yep.
then he'll be like, well,
Oh,
okay."
Mansfield did that quite a bit. You ever notice he tried playing those games with me? The threatening look, no, that wasn't a
Which was
threatening look.
ridiculous.
That was literally, man, a what the hell look.
Right.
It's like, all right, no.
The only time that
Did you
you
really just say that?
like when he did his closing argument, I think it might have been his rebuttal, your face was red.
Okay, now here's the
You
point.
could tell you
Okay,
were
that
mad.
one. Here's what everybody missed, though, right? With that one, and it wasn't me. Okay, now don't get me wrong. I was squirming in my seat through that whole thing because, man, I'm listening to those lies, and man, I'm just like, I'm realizing what this can mean to the jury, and I'm like, man, and I'm making objections, and the judge is not, man, stopping them, and I'm like, what the hell, right? So, okay, yes, I was getting upset, but that's not why I was red. Because okay, if you notice, man, even in the interviews I do outside the courthouse, you can probably see it the best because it's in the light. But no, I burned my face by accident, right? Because okay, I ran out of like the soap, that I use for my shaving, right?
Uh-huh.
And no, I used the hotel stuff, and I have pretty sensitive skin, but I mean, I burned the hell out of my face with this stuff, and I mean, it was like, oh man, now I got to go to court looking like this. This sucks. And that, but at least y'all just thought I was mad.
I thought you were mad. Oh,
It's like, all right,
'cause
I
I was
guess I
like,
can live with that.
oh my
You
gosh, look
know?
how red his face is. Like he is so mad right now.
Yeah, no, it was just I literally burnt the hell out of myself. So
Well,
um,
hey,
yeah,
all the things we learn.
yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, like it's not always what we think.
Right.
Even me.
Good
It's
point.
like it's not always what you
Exactly.
think.
Exactly. All
Yep.
right. I don't know where she left off.
I don't know. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, actually, I think she's actually at number 5. Because okay, I think it's number 5. Because it's was it with this matter proceeding to another trial in the next month or two. Which okay, here's the other thing. Yeah, that's wishful thinking. Because don't get me wrong. Yeah, the judge still has to rule on quite a few different things that man you may not make it to that trial, homie.
Right.
But I like his positive attitude. So, okay. So, the ability to find impartial jurors who have not heard anything about the case or who've not heard or read any of the defendant's comments will already be difficult. And guess what? Yeah, that's a small percentage of the people who know, brother. I hate to tell you this. And oh, yeah, and you did dirty things in front of them. Good job.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as was needed previously, a gag order is necessary to prevent the upcoming jury pool from being exposed to any further prejudicial pretrial publicity about this case. To allow the defendant to continue to make comments on social media or any other forms of media will only serve to greatly prejudice the state and the defendant's ability to impanel a jury. Oh, he's thinking about me. You see
Oh,
that?
isn't that
No,
sweet?
he's thinking about my rights at that point,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so, and not only further, but escalate the threat to the administration of justice. Like you lying doesn't do that. Um, you know, Wherefore the state respectfully requests this court to impose the previous protective order and order the defendant to remove all social media posts related to the criminal case since the
Ooh,
mistrial. Oh, because you're
I
worried
missed
about
that
being
part.
caught for your dirty shit. That's what that boils down to. Too late,
Yeah.
man. Too late, fat man. You're already caught. You know what I'm saying? Oh well, they got us on video. Let's go ahead and erase the tape. Oh shit, they did that too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
damn it.
missed that part
Yep.
when I read that Since the mistrial.
Yep,
Oh,
since the mistrial. It's amazing, huh? It's like,
wow.
yo, yeah, because and not only that, because you got to figure, okay, part of this is definitely Ward's ego, right? Because he definitely has one, right? And he's like I said, they're arrogant as hell. The idea that man, he lost to a pro se,
Oh,
that definitely is not sitting well with him at all.
mm-mm.
It's like, oh no. And then the other thing is the whole time, yep, the whole time that that I've been going through this, right? This has been their attitude, and mine is kind of similar because their attitude, the whole time has been, "Who the hell do you think you are?" Right? We're the county. You don't do this to us. I mean, you're a nobody, right? And my exact attitude coming back has been, "Who the hell do you think you
You
are?"
are.
You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? You no, you're a human being just like anybody else. And the judge ain't nothing more than a guy in a skirt. That's it. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? That's what it boils down to. And no, you don't get to treat people this way. Even the judge, because man, like I told you, once I figured out he was dirty, it's like, okay, no, you're nothing at this point. You're lower than me, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because no, I would never do what these guys do.
Right.
It's like, how can they even sleep at night?
I
Is
don't
what
know.
it's what I don't get. It's like
I think some of the, and I'll just speak prosecutors that I've seen, it's like they don't, it's it's a throwaway person.
hold on a second. I
Yeah,
got
here.
guys mowing lawn outside my window and I can't hear a damn thing.
If you could send them to my
Oh,
house,
there
you'd
it
be
goes.
done.
Shut it down
Uh,
for a second.
I think when they put somebody away that's innocent and they know they're innocent, they look at it, it's just a throwaway person.
But yeah, I mean, don't get me
If
wrong.
it's a homeless person, well, nobody
Yep,
cared.
and don't get me wrong. Okay,
You
Phelps
know,
actually says that in that tape. Oh, you didn't watch any of the tapes, man, on our channel. The interview room tape answers a lot of questions. If you watch the one, especially from is it 12-1 or 1-2? I can't remember. But okay, I think I want to say it's 1-2. But the thing is okay when you watch and when you I shouldn't say watch because okay, it's a boring tape. All it is an interview room, empty interview room, right? But okay, and Lauren's the one who found these, right? Because they gave it to us in Discovery. But what she did is she was smart enough to put on a headset and listen, and she catches the whole thing from the time I become a suspect, to how they're going to set me up. They're even coming up with stories, and man, freaking, what they're going to tell as far as man how I'm involved, right? They're arguing about who the murderer is going to be, all this other stuff. And this is all, and she admits, she's admitted this twice in Depot, right? She admits that she had four things that made me a suspect. That's it. I was white, you know, I was staying in the same place, man, that Rory Wilson and Travis were staying, right? Same building. And Rory Wilson walked with me to go pay my phone bill one day. And that stupid picture from Facebook, the
which is
Halloween picture,
which is stupid.
right? Which again has absolutely nothing to do with man the crime. Nothing in that has ever been attributed to the crime,
And
right?
it's not a mask. It's
No,
paint.
no, it's not. It's a mask. It's not a mask. It's makeup, right? And man,
Yeah.
not only is it makeup, again, it's not a real knife. You can see I got party beads on, whole idea, right? So, but the thing is, she saw that picture and she knew, and I guarantee you, she's right. Had I had a public defender, right? Had I not had a lawyer, or even gone pro se at that point, those pictures probably would have made it into evidence. And man, all she had to do was show that picture to a jury, and I would have been guilty.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. Over, right? Because man, yeah, I mean the girls who man took that picture, it's like because again it was Fantasy Fest night, man. Some girls came by painting us up, hey, look scary, pose look scary, and apparently I did it real well.
Apparently.
I don't know.
You
Funny thing is,
actually.
I actually have my friend Ben. He has the same picture, basically, almost, same
Oh,
pose,
wow.
that kind of stuff. He doesn't look quite as scary, I guess, but man, but same thing, and because okay, they asked both of us to do it, so man, I mean, I have his picture too, but he didn't get busted for homicide. It's like I don't know, but
It's
I
too
mean,
bad you don't have those two girls that did that, which I'm sure
um,
you don't
well, I mean,
around
don't get me wrong,
you.
I'm not sure how helpful they would be, but I
They
wouldn't
could at
mind.
least say, "Hey, we did this to his face. We
Yeah. Oh,
painted him
yeah.
this
I mean, but
way."
you got to remember they never got to use those pictures anyway,
Well,
right?
that's
Because
true.
okay, by that time, man, by the time that one lawyer that Lauren got from me, and that was funny too, because okay, talk about, again, we do our homework. We go and we, figure out the people that we're up against, right? We had a picture of Colleen Dunn, man, chugging a liter of Fireball, right? And so my lawyer goes in at the time. He goes in. He's like, he's like, those are real nice pictures you're trying to use of my client. It's funny.
We have one.
Absolutely nothing to do with the crime, but we have some pictures too, and man shows her some of the pictures that we pulled up, it's like, are these representative? She had one, man, where she had her dog's head on a platter. It was a Halloween costume, right? But man, literally had her head, head of her, you could be the killer, it's like, look, man, if we're going to judge people that way, it's like, again, at least, these guys, man, I don't even know what to say, because, man, they were such piss poor, man, investigators. It's not even funny. But I mean, it depends on the way you look at it. If they really weren't trying to solve the crime, they did a good job,
Right.
but if they were, then, man, probably the worst investigators of all time. It's like, I don't know. Oh yeah, I will be going live tonight. I'll be doing my thing tonight. I'm still not under a gag order, and I will go ahead and I'll have that response in. But thing is it's going to be up to the judge, and I have a lot of faith in this judge. I really do. But this is going to be a big test for him. It's like because look, I realize that last response I did, he may not dismiss the case, right? Based on that. Right. He may want to see, the motion dismissed, see exactly how bad this was. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me tell you, it's going to be a lot of reading for him, and it's going to take him a second. But, because, okay, unlike them, I have thousands of pages worth of evidence, as far as documents. I have, literally untold hours of audio and video evidence. There's a ton of it. It's like when I say we have a mountain of evidence, yeah, we do. So it's going to take him a second to go through all that and read that motion, and then we're going to have to argue it, right?
Right.
But I don't see anybody who gets through that motion where the prosecutors survive this. What I'm saying? There's no way. They've done too much stuff. They've broken too many laws. They've committed too many crimes. And they've again, we're talking not just misconduct. We're talking about, man, illegal activity. Again, witness tampering. I told you what the penalty for that is. That's not a light crime.
Right.
It's like, and then you go into the obstruction of justice, or you go into the subordination of perjury, or you go, keep on going to the different crimes they've committed. And it's like, yep, yeah, I'm sure they are. What's funny? It's never really helped them though, DD. It's like, that was one of the points I brought up when I took the stand the first time. It's like, I tell the lawyer, I'm like, look, they have 5,700 hours worth of phone calls between me and Laura. 5,700 hours, and it's like I've done, I don't know how many interviews, and I've told everybody and their brother about this case. And it's like I told the lawyer then, I was like, if I was going to somehow mess up my lie or incriminate myself or something stupid like that, that shit would have happened years ago.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, 5,700 hours worth of phone calls, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
And no. Yep.
I'm so mad at you for discussing
discussing the facts of the case. It's like, I mean, not that everybody doesn't know them already. It's like, that's kind of the whole point of a televised trial. I guess.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and
like I said, they're not the brightest people sometimes. They really aren't.
No,
and after I heard myself just say that, I was like, damn, that's pretty dumb. It's like shit. So, all right. Well, I'll let you go. I'm going to get back to work. And guys, thank you for coming out.
All right. Well, let us know.
PD, I'll go ahead and send you that stuff, or if you wouldn't mind sending it to, I just like, again, I want to make sure that everybody who's covered it, done anything with it. Look, I want to just make sure you have, what's available as far as this goes. Make sure that you have the notice and the motion, because, man, look, like I said, it does involve your rights, and, man, it doesn't. If you want to write a letter to the judge, man, and hell, the email address is on there. It's if you want to go ahead and voice your opinion, tell them what you think as far as your rights go. Yeah, I mean, they are yours too.
I mean, they always say, we want to be transparent. We want to be transparent.
Well, not only that, I
Like,
mean,
being
I
transparent.
do think it's a good thing that Florida does that because they're keeping the press's rights in mind at that point. Same thing with the victims; they keep their rights in mind too. Like Florida, their legal system, man, sucks for a lot of things, but there are some good things they do. And man, one of them is man making sure that parties who are affected, their rights are affected, that they have a say in what's happening. And they should. Especially if it's going to affect their rights.
Right.
So anyway, I'll holler at you guys later.
All right.
So I'll be
Let
on this afternoon. We'll have some more fun at Mr. Mansfield and Mr. Ward's expense.
I will
And
catch that on replay, probably. I'll
look,
probably
I
catch
don't
it
know
on
if I can
replay.
make them hate me anymore. I've been pretty vocal, so I don't know. We'll
But
have to see. I mean, I could try.
I would say you're gonna try though, right?
I'll put in my best effort. I'll put my A game in. Yeah,
You're
it'll
on.
be at 8 o'clock Eastern Eastern
Okay.
Standard, and then 5 o'clock over here on the Pacific. So, I'll see you guys then. And like I said, I'll try and make it. I'll try and bust out that picture. I know I have it somewhere. As man, Mr. Ward in his tutu. So I'm sure he would love me for that one.
I can't wait to
Yep.
see that.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh man.
thank you. And
They
as
don't
soon
call
as
it they don't
you,
call it key weird for no reason. So all
as soon
right,
as
guys. Y'all have
you
a good night.
hear,
Well, good day. Good
yeah,
day. Good
it's
night. We'll be getting there.
it's
All right, I'll
it's
talk to
still
y'all later.
morning for you.
Hey, look, I just figured out it's Friday, so it's
You
like,
did. That's true.
yeah.
So
I got to check in. Don't let me forget to do that, because man, then I'll be on the bad side again.
yeah,
I don't
don't
want to
do
be
that.
there.
Don't do that.
Yep.
All
Yep.
righty.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I
All
enjoy it every time. So
right.
make
All
sure
right.
you tell us when they're going to hear this or rule on this.
Oh
We'll
no,
do
I
that.
mean, look, it's going to happen probably fairly quickly, and I may not even be, I mean, again, he may not even hold a hearing because he's doing it as an emergency. Now, if the judge doesn't see it as an emergency, he may just chastise him for putting it that way. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get that response in real quick to make sure that he has my side of the things, as far as it goes. Because look, it's not going to take much more, to finish that off. I just had to reword a few things and get it good, because no, I can't really afford mistakes, so I try not to make them.
Right.
you know,
No, that's
so
true.
yeah, I'm learning. I'm getting there. I'll learn. I'll be learning the law. You know,
You're you're gonna be a lawyer when this is all done. I hate
I'm a
to say
lawyer.
it. I mean, I know you don't want to be.
I always wanted to meet that guy, man. The guy from TMZ,
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, I'm not a lawyer.
Was it
I'm a lawyer. Yeah. I'm a
Harvey?
lawyer.
Yeah.
Harvey
Anyway,
Weinstein.
I'll talk to you
Almost
later,
said
and I'll
almost
let
said
you
the
know what's
bad
going on.
Harvey.
Yep.
So, all
All
right.
right.
Well, go get your response and so that's all there. And
Yep. And like I said, I'll talk to you guys later.
all right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. I'm out too. Thank you very much. Well, a little bit longer than I expected, but I always have a good time talking to him. And uh, Wendy, you can find it on Court TV or Law and Crime. It's the Florida Treehouse murder trial. Tye represented himself in it, and there's just no evidence. If somebody thinks that he's guilty, they got to tell me where the evidence is. Like, point me to something other than his personality. So, um, we watched it, and we didn't. I didn't know anything about Tye when it started, and he convinced me strictly on the lack of evidence. When they didn't have DNA, I was done. I was like, you can't find him guilty. So he got a mistrial the first time, and spoiler alert, sorry, Wendy. And then he is going back to trial maybe in September, but we'll see. He's not sure about that. So, and he does. He has a great YouTube page where he's got tons of videos. Somehow, some weird way, his video with the police is cut up into a gazillion little pieces, and some of it's missing. Kind of weird. Uh, but yeah, he's got a lot of information on his page. He does a Friday night update every Friday. And um, yes, Crime Circus has done shows. Um, man, he's He's around. He's been on Excited Utterance, um, Christina's page, and yeah, he's done a lot, and it's worked for him. That's what I was telling him. Just as a process, has done a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of good stuff. Um, yeah. All right. I will give me 1 second, and I'll tell you what I will. I will tell you what I'm going to do. Okay. Nothing. I'm not doing anything. Wendy, yeah, you hop right on over there, girl. Oh, Wendy. All right, you guys. Thank you again so much. It's been great as always. I will be back Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Not sure what we're going to do yet, but I think there's a new trial starting hopefully Monday. Um, the dad who made his little boy run on the treadmill and he ended up passing away. Uh, I'm going to look at that one. I know they did jury selection this week, and I think it's supposed to start Monday. So if it does, that will be what we're going to do. Thank you, DG. You have a great day too. I am glad that you made it. So, yeah, that's what we'll be doing if that's there. If it's not, I'll figure something out. So, all right, you guys, have a great weekend. Like always, do something fun, be safe, and oh, hang on. I saw hey. So, alrighty. I will see you guys. I'm out now. All right. Bye.